competition has been so broken up with these two championship games that have been inserted in the middle of it, then arguably it's not too much of a factor, and it's just the way things are going now. The sides are kind of constantly changing. There's usually a sort of hardcore 6 or 7, but even when the budget is relatively as low as Leicestershire's playing budget is, it seems to be short-term thinking is now very much part of the competition. So, hopefully it'll be great.
Rishi Patel's out there, Sol Budinger is out there as well. We'll keep you updated with what's happening in Dusseldorf as England take on Switzerland in the quarterfinals of the European Championships. That may be one of the reasons why, to be honest, there's not a lot of supporters here at Grace Road so far. I see there's a big screen over in that far corner, but if I glance to my left-hand side, one of the stands is only a quarter full or so. We'll keep you updated, though, with what happens in the Euros. Our focus, though, is here at Grace Road, Leicestershire versus Derbyshire. Derbyshire winning the toss and electing to bowl first. Your commentators are Richard Ray and Adam Whitty.
Thank you very much, Connor, and welcome to Grace Road for this T20 blast match between Leicestershire and Derbyshire. Big game this for the Foxes. If I read out the table for you, Leicestershire fourth in the North Group, and a reminder that the top 4 go through to the quarter-finals. There's still 5 games to go. If Leicestershire were to win today, they would go up into second. Derbyshire, it's do or die, and they are already perhaps on their deathbed with 6 points, 3 wins from their 8 games. They've lost their last 2, and there's certainly an intriguing, vital match between these two teams. Mohammed Amir, a quality player, will get us underway bowling to Rishi Patel, and he drives down the ground. A bit of a thick inside edge that from Patel, and Leicestershire are off the mark.
Good to see a few people leaving the crowd in front of the big screen in the car park to come into the stands now. They've suddenly realised there's a cricket game going on as well, and the ground is beginning to fill up a bit.
And the sun just poking through as well to our right-hand side. It is a pleasant evening in Ayleston.
It's going to be lovely.
And Sol Budinger, left-handed batsman, surveys the scene and takes his mark. The 2 men out, one at deep backward square leg. So Budinger is in, moves across his stumps and nearly gets hit right in front on his pads, but he just gets enough bat on it and the ball squirts out into the leg side. There is no run, so 1 change for Leicestershire. Tom Scriven comes in for Roman Walker. 2 changes for Derbyshire. Lewis Rees comes in to replace the injured Cam Fletcher, and then Amir, Pakistan international, highly experienced player, very high quality player, is in for Derbyshire, and he comes in now, left arm over the wicket, straight delivery and quick, and Budinger defends, but he was uncomfortable there, it has to be said, and the ball squirts out into the offside. There is no run. Interesting, Richard, that they haven't opened with Sterling. I thought they may. Oh dear, Switzerland have just taken the lead against England. That'll certainly get people walking over from the big screen. So Amir turns and moves in towards us. He's bowling from the Bennett end. He's in, he bowls, and it's driven by Budinger up instantly, straight to cover. It falls just in front of Samit Patel, and there is no run. So 1 for no loss off the first 4 deliveries.
Nice vote of confidence from Alfonso Thomas and Rishi Patel and the Leicestershire coaching hierarchy, and Sam Wood that he's got a second game. He made his debut yesterday, the 19-year-old sort of bowling all-rounder. Didn't really get much of a chance, but he did get an over.
Interesting to see where he bats as well, as Amir is in, bowls, that's down the leg side, and a wide is signalled. Nice bit of shape, Richard, you're signalling there.
It just swung late, didn't it, after it had gone down the leg side, but that's what you kind of expect to see from Amir. But it is, I just wonder whether that little shower just before the start will have dampened the outfield. They'll be desperately trying to keep it dry, the ball, but it might not help Derbyshire's bowlers that much.
Amir, athletic figure of turns and faces square on to Budinger, who's got an open stance, batting on that middle leg, and in comes Amir. He bowls, and that tucks Budinger up somewhat, gets a thick outside edge, and there's a shy at the stumps. I think Patel was home. Budinger scampers through for the single. It is 3 for no loss, with 1 ball remaining in the over. We've got to change around. So we've got a left-hand, right-hand combination. So what often teams look for in their opening pair, because it just unsettles the fielding team. They've got to move their field around. The batsman, the bowler's got to change his lines as well. As Amir is staying over the wicket, left arm, he comes in. Patel is hit on the pad. That must have been going down the leg side. There's no run either way as Brooke Guest dives to his left to gather, and that is the end of the first over. T20 Blast cricket between Leicestershire and Derbyshire on BBC Radio Leicester. Patel 1, Budinger 1, 3 for no loss. And as the sun begins to fully come over us now, and it's turning into a pleasant evening.
It is. It's going to be a lovely evening. Might be slightly depressed mood if that score from Dusseldorf remains the same for a few minutes anyway, but hopefully Leicestershire's batters can lift everybody. Well, former Leicestershire player Zach Chappell, who's bowled really nicely in the T20 competition for Derbyshire this season, is going to open the bowling for the Falcons from the pavilion end. 10 wickets for Zach at 20, pretty much 25s, but he goes for less than 9s, so decent. In he goes and bowls to Budinger, who whips it high out towards square leg. It bounces in front of the fielder. He should have stopped it, because although it bounced up around about chest height and it was travelling, well, he was right behind it, but somehow it burst through his hands, went over the ropes into the sort of little hobbit houses that have been erected over there alongside the manual scoreboard. And Budinger picks up a slightly fortuitous 4. Umpire Lloyd changes ends. The other umpire is Simon Widdop, by the way. In goes Chappell and bowls to Budinger, who crashes it through the offside. Should be chased down. I think it will be pulled in. Oh, huge slide, and it's going to keep going. Well, that was unfortunate, really, because the fielder, I think it's Rees down there, he put in a huge slide. The little bit of moisture on the surface meant he kept going for a good, maybe 4 or 5 yards, actually, into the rope, and he went past the ball, having pulled it back. The ball continued its slight momentum and just trickled into the ropes. So, consecutive boundaries to Sol Budinger, neither of which really should have happened.
No, I don't think Chappell will be happy at all, will he?
No. He runs away from us, bowls again to Budinger, who's picked that one up, and that's going a long way over the Geary bar and into the trees, and presumably over the fence. The trees might just have kept it within the bounds of the Uptonsteel County Ground. Otherwise, that has bounced into the road and into the vans and into, actually, a couple of the businesses are open. So it could well have gone into that garage. We Fix Your Car might have found it.
might be doing an extra repair that they weren't expecting.
This dent, can you imagine? I'm sorry about that, madam. It was hit by a cricket ball. So 4-6 to Sol Budinger off the first 3 balls of the over. Chappell is in again to Budinger's bowled him with the slower ball. Didn't look as though it got up that much, but Budinger staying on the back foot, tried to jam it out. Chappell didn't really celebrate too much, but Budinger's brief but bright innings has come to an end. He's gone. Bowled Chappell for 15, and Leicestershire are 17 for 1 after 1.4 overs.
It's always very difficult, isn't it, when you score so many runs, you feel like you're in the zone off the first 3 deliveries of an over. And he was hitting the ball so well and so cleanly. I think he sort of always thought he was going to defend that delivery because he'd done the work that he needed to do. But it's very clever bowling from Chappell, held back his pace perfectly and completely bamboozled Budinger. And he's got such an open stance, doesn't really move his feet, which is a big problem for him. When you get a slower ball like that, you misjudge the length and the line, and so that's a shame because he looked very aggressive indeed.
That 6 was a beauty. A really nice pickup, but once again, unfortunately, Sol Budinger not able to go on, and he has been replaced by Paul Sterling. Now this could be fun. Sterling, this may be the only innings he will ever play for Leicestershire.
We don't know about Pete Hanscom, do we, at the moment, and how he's faring with his injury?
We don't. So and they might keep him on, but at the moment, it's just these two games together: Nottinghamshire yesterday and Derbyshire today. Right, the big Irishman, right-hander, of course, takes guard. Madson's in there at slip as Chappell is in. Sterling's working it off the back foot down through backward point. Madsen runs round to pick up, but it's actually Rees who comes in from the boundary to field, so it is just a single to Sterling. So he is up and running. 18 for 1 off 1.5.
England have equalised against Switzerland. Bukayo Saka with an absolute beauty.
How long to
80 minutes. We're into the 81st minute.
10 minutes or so until the inevitable extra time.
To the inevitable penalties.
And yeah, absolutely. Chappell is in and bowls lovely slower ball Yorker, but saw it, picked it, I think, Patel, and jammed it out towards point. Takes the single, has to swerve past Chappell in the process, but he's got that slower ball off to a tee at the moment. Zach Chappell, and success for him in that over after the first 3 balls disappeared for 14. 19 for 1 after 2, the Foxes.
Interesting Sterling, not particularly successful at the World Cup, 12 runs in 3 innings as Ireland went out in the group stages, but he has the capacity to completely destroy teams. He got a 46 ball 100 last year for Birmingham Bears. He's played right across the competition and across the world in T20 franchise cricket. Mohamed Amir will bowl though to Rishi Patel, who's at the striker's end. The left arm bowls to the right-handed Patel. Back goes Patel with a late cut I should say, behind square on the offside, and a single is taken. Crowd's beginning to fill up, but it is a quiet day. It's understandable. I do feel a little bit sorry for Leicestershire, given the Kasabian concert and the England game at the same time.
They were rehearsing this morning, or somebody was rehearsing this morning, doing all their sound checks and what have you.
Of course, you live near Victoria Park, don't you?
About 150 yards from the stage, believe it or not. So it's going to be interesting.
Are you going to get back to be the support act? Amir running in towards us. He's bowling to Sterling. He's got an open stance. He drives uppishly, but it's zoomed along the outfield and is well stopped by one of the men out in the deep. Who's that out there? Zach Chappell. Pat Brown out there, yeah. Who dived to his right-hand side. The ball was zooming along. If Sterling hits them, they stay hit, but a single is added. So Sterling on to 2 from 2, Patel 3 from 4. The score 21 for 1. 5 runs coming off Mohamed Amir's 1.2 overs. It's a distant clap as Mohamed Amir comes in. Big hit from Patel. He's hit this up in the air, but it's going to be safe. It lands in between the infield and the man in the deep. It was well wide of him as well. It was incredibly risky, but perfectly safe. Particularly in the power play, you can get away with those shots because if you put your arms through it and you get it over the infield, chances are it's going to be safe with only 2 men allowed in the deep for the first 6 overs. So it's just 2 added to Patel now, 5 from 5. Pat Brown takes his jumper off over the boundaries. Amir comes in, and Patel will be disappointed as there's a full delivery outside off stump that he tries to drive but gets inside it, and so there is no run.
With the sun on it, you can see the sort of dual nature of the pitch. That they've left a little bit more grass, I suspect, on this end, the pavilion end, maybe with a view for the spinners. But you can see a clear line in the middle of the pitch.
You can, it's very interesting. It is lighter on the far end, as you say, Richard, slightly darker on the side closest to us. Amir in, slower delivery, Patel drives, and it goes straight to Samit Patel at short cover. There is no run. One other game today that was abandoned without a ball bowled between Middlesex and Hampshire in the South Group. Zimbabwe played India in a men's T20 game today. Didn't they win the World Cup about 4 days ago? That's remarkable.
Was that in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, Zimbabwe won. Amir in, bowls, hit in the air by Patel safely. That's a lovely shot, actually. Just coming forward, 1 bounce forward down the ground, and that was a crisp shot. And sort of a textbook drive on the leg side, but perfectly executed to get the maximum or the best results I should say, with 4 added to the total. So a nice end to the over, and what felt like a quite tight over has ended positively. So there's 8 off the over in the end from Amir. So 27 for 1 is the score at the end of the third over. Patel on 9, Sterling on 2.
It looks a little bit as though it isn't quite coming on to the bat, for example, as well as it did last night at Trent Bridge, where there was almost no grass on the pitch. It looked like a sort of strip of almost brown concrete, really. Not the case this time. Well, we mentioned Pat Brown earlier. He's going to come on and have a bowl now for Derbyshire. Comfortably their leading wicket taker in the competition this season, with 15 at 17 and a halves. Got a wonderful slower ball, the former Worcestershire man, of course. Waiting as Leicestershire 12th man Roman Walker leaves the field. He'd come on with a towel for Rishi Patel. Brown is in to Sterling. Slower ball, and it just sort of dies, and Sterling plays several years too early basically at that one. He was looking to club that one away, and actually had to take his bottom hand off the bat to keep hold of the bat, really. He would have swung himself off his feet, but beautifully bowled by Brown. Completely deceived Sterling. Helped, I suspect, again by the pitch slightly. 27 for 1. It's a decent start, though, for the Foxes. They'd certainly take sort of 55 for 1 off the power play. Brown is in. Pushed out towards mid-wicket. If the throw hits, he's gone. He has gone. Beautiful throw from mid-wicket. And I think it's inevitably Wayne Madsen, who has been a thorn in Leicestershire's side, well, throughout his career, really, as athletic as ever at the age of 40, picked up at mid-wicket. It was more or less pulled straight to him, accidentally, really, by Sterling. He wasn't there for the shot. The ball took a while to come on to him. He went for the run anyway. He had only one stump to aim at, and of course, being Madsen, he hit it, and Sterling is run out for 2. Thanks for coming, Paul.
Well, he might play again for Leicestershire. You don't know, but as you say, he's only signed for 2 days, 2 games at the very minimum. I suppose he was signed for 2 days, wasn't he? In reality, and that's a real shame. He didn't look overly comfortable out there, and the slower balls were outfoxing him somewhat. It was a brilliant bit of fielding from Madsen, but I would suggest there was a single there.
Yeah, it came off his sort of thick inside edge. Yeah, super throw. So, 2 wickets in the power play already. Brown is in, bowls a bouncer to Rishi Patel, who just bobs at the knees, lets it bounce over his head to Brooke Guest behind the stumps. Brown scrapes at the crease, having bowled that delivery. Friends of Grace Road, they're out early for their match day draw up on the terrace alongside us. I'd have waited, get a few more into the ground once they've finished watching the football, especially over there in the car park. Brown, elbows swinging, runs away from us and bowls to Patel on the legs, nicely turned off the body by Patel, down towards deep backwards square. Takes the first one fairly quickly, but it will be just the one. Good throw comes in on the bounce to Guest, and he wouldn't have got halfway, I suspect. Patel is into double figures though now, on to 10 from 10, 28 for 2. Lewis Goldsworthy, the new batsman.
That's an interesting choice. I mean, he batted very, very well against Middlesex, didn't he? It was a match-winning innings, I suppose.
Yeah, he's been batted. They batted him at 4 in the county championship. He is a good bat, but he's quite orthodox. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in T20, going up higher in the order. I suspect if Sterling had hung around,
yeah, I agree, he wouldn't have come in as early.
Yeah, exactly. Brown in and bowls. Slower ball, Yorker. That's a shout for leg before. It's given out by Adam Whitty, but not by umpire Graham Lloyd.
Possibly down leg side.
Possibly. Let's have a look. See. Yeah, it's a decent shout. Might have been a little bit of bat on it. Although Brown indicates to, it sort of may have gone down leg side. Graham Lloyd and Simon Widdop are roughly the same size. Neither of them are big men, and I'm not quite sure. I think it's Graham standing at this end and Simon Widdop at square leg at the Bennett end at the moment. He's a bit of a not-outer, so it could have been him. In goes Brown and bowls down the leg side, comes off the pads, I suspect, of Goldsworthy, and goes down to the... No, he got a little inside edge. And Lloyd signals as such. It was bat. So good end to the over from Leicestershire's point of view. It was a decent over from Brown. Slower balls nearly all the time in it. And did pick up a wicket, albeit doesn't count to him. Run out. Counts very much to Madsen. 32 for 2 after 4.
I'm going to stop doing signals to deliveries because I did a 4 then knocked the water bottle over and then gave Lewis Goldsworthy out when he wasn't. So I'm going to stop doing that. 32 for 2, 4 overs into this game on BBC Radio Leicester. If you want to listen to the beat, by the way, you can on this Saturday evening. That's on our FM frequencies. So Patel, 10 not out. Zach Chappell will bowl from the Bennett end. He skips in towards us now, bowls. Oh, and he's trapped him on the pads. Bit of in-swing to Patel. That's hit him right on the knee roll, and so therefore right on the knee. That's always a nasty one, that, and he gets down, squats, does Patel, and just waits for the pain to wear off. That would have crunched right into him, I'm sure. Goldsworthy 4. That was a lovely shot, actually. Off the final ball of the previous over, whipped it away down the ground. The run rate is 7.7, not too shabby. It's the 2 wickets that are the problem for Leicestershire, and I think it's a 20% chance of winning, the stats say, if you lose 3 wickets in the power play. Chappell comes in, bowls, Patel drives handsomely, and that just stops in the pitches there. It beat the infield, and Patel went to his right hand side, but it was fielded by the man at mid-off. There was a single added to the total. 33 for 2. So 16 came off, was it 17 came off Chappell's first over. As he turns, bald-headed, very tall figure. Long run up too, and he bounds in now, big long strides. He's past the umpire, he bowls, back goes Goldsworthy, and again times that rather nicely, straight to mid-wicket, where there is no run. It's a big bird with a big wingspan, flies right across the ground there.
Goal.
Is it a gull? Yeah. It's a big gull, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was, yeah, I promise.
No, I trust it. That's why I was a bit confused, because it's a white bird, but I suspected it would have been a boring answer. Hopefully it wasn't. In comes Chappell. He bowls, and Goldsworthy again, sort of tucked up slightly, a bit of in-swing onto the pads of Goldsworthy, and it's clipped away off the pads. The umpire signals leg by. 33 for 2.
We have started to see kites over Grace Road from time to time.
There was one before. It was the game against Durham, wasn't it? I think we saw one.
But usually, yes, I'm afraid they're a bit mundane.
Chappell bounds in once more. He's up to the wicket. He bowls Patel inside edge. He's going to get 4 for it. That's a streaky shot, and there's no doubt about the fact that he's a little bit lucky there. He went for a big heave. Not really sure where he was trying to hit it. I think towards cow corner. He gets 4 for it, but it was far from convincing. So 38 for 2 now the score. And Patel on to 15. It's a bit of a sedate start, really. I can't sort of put my finger on it, but bar that 16, or was it 14, wasn't it, that Budinger scored 3 balls in a row. It felt a little bit sedate from Leicestershire. They've not gone at overly quick speed. 8 and over now the run rate. As Chappell, right arm, comes in, bowls. Patel makes room. Oh, and he's bowled him. Top of off. I think there's a last minute bit of movement off the seam there, and it's just knocked the bails off on the top of off. Beautiful bit of bowling from Zach Chappell. And Patel has to depart. He's been in outrageously good form in this competition. He didn't look overly comfortable at the crease during this innings, and Leicestershire have lost the 3rd wicket. That fated 3rd wicket. That means that your chances of winning drop significantly. 38 for 3 is the score. Patel gone for 15.
Yeah, I think part of it is that the ball isn't quite coming on as they would hope. The wicket looks as though it might just sort of need a couple of hours of sunshine, really. It's been a cloudy and occasionally rainy, and it was rainy all morning, obviously in Leicester for much of the morning. So wicket probably hasn't been as exposed as the ground staff would have liked. It isn't quite coming on. And as a consequence, the batters are just struggling with their timing a little bit, especially if it's banged into the pitch. So whether it will suit Louis Kimber, in fact that's not Louis Kimber, that's Jimmy Neesham who's come in next. So the scoreboard's got it wrong. In goes Brown, and it's worked off the back foot by Goldsworthy out towards backward point for a single. Goldsworthy moves on to 5.
Little and large, isn't it, out there at the moment? Jimmy Neesham is a big man.
The fact when they see he's left-handed will hopefully indicate to them that it isn't Louis Kimber. Samit Patel leaping around at extra cover. He's going to be bowling at the end of the power play. But it's been a good power play for Derbyshire so far. Neesham makes Brown wait. Takes guard now. Slightly open stance for the left-hander as in goes Brown, bowls to him. Again, slightly slower ball. Worked off the back foot. Didn't really get up on him that much either. Out towards mid-wicket. But guess you heard him say sort of oi, which is a sort of cricketing term meaning that ball's done something a bit odd. And it did. It didn't quite get up. Brown, an expert at taking the pace off the ball. Scoreboard still insisting it is Kimber. I can promise you it isn't. It's saying that on the stream as well. It is not Louis Kimber. In goes Brown and steered off the back foot by Neesham. Nicely down towards wide third man for 4. Nice piece of timing. He waited for it, used the pace on the ball from Brown and steered it to the boundary for 4. A lovely shot from the New Zealander. He'll be pleased with that. His first runs for the Foxes.
That's a lovely, lovely shot. Beautifully timed, and we've spoken about the ball not coming on. There he waited for that perfectly, didn't he? And just leant back. With being as big as muscular as he is, he will be able to get a lot out of his shots.
Neesham, again, that open stance, bobs at the knees as Brown goes in, bowls to him. He goes back. Yes, he raps out as he turns it towards mid-wicket. Chappell makes something of a meal of running to his left to picking it up, but it was always going to be a single. He takes that single, moves on to 5. 43 for 3. The scoreboard has changed. There we go. They have recognised it is Jimmy Neesham, New Zealand international. And that he's now on 5. It's got to catch up with that as well. Brown turns. Goldsworthy, correct player, gets a slower ball bouncer that gets in position to hook, but again, he decides to pull out of the hook, just lets it bounce over his shoulder. Had he gone for the hook, the odds are he would have top-edged it. There is a deep backward square. The other man out is going to be at deep mid-wicket, which means backward point's going to have to come in off the boundary. Wayne Madsen jogs back towards the meet. Brown turns. Pace off, very much the key. In he goes and bowls, chipped in the air by Goldsworthy out towards mid-on, but only as far as mid-on, where David Lloyd, the first-class captain of the side, is fielding, and that is the end of the power play. 45 for 3. Well, I just think it takes the batter a while to get used to it. I don't think it's the end of the world for Leicestershire. Derbyshire will be quite pleased, but I think you're going to have to adjust expectations on this pitch. It isn't, I don't think, a 180 pitch.
No, 7.5 and over from the power play. And I would suggest you're looking more at 160.
Feels a bit that way, yeah, I agree.
What will be interesting now will be to see how Samit Patel gets on here, and whether slower bowlers, people who generally take the pace off anyway, how they fare, whether Goldsworthy will decide to attack, whether pace bowlers, I can get a variety of pace options, will do better, or whether it will be those who can, like Patel, who play with their speed and their variations so much. He is in, he bowls, back goes Goldsworthy, and the ball is hit straight into the floor and it squirts out into the offside. There is no run.
Again, he didn't quite come on, did he?
No. As Patel comes in, tosses this one up, swept by Goldsworthy nicely out to deep backward square leg. He'll be disappointed that he picked out his man perfectly out in the deep. He timed that nicely, did Goldsworthy, who moves on to 7. The run rate's 7.3. It is not an easy pitch to score on, and it's not a fast-scoring game. If you compare it to last night, where Nottinghamshire were totally explosive, they got about 60, 70 off their power play, I think, wouldn't they, Nottinghamshire yesterday? Just got a bit of a delay. Field changes. Neesham surveys as Patel is in. Bowls. Back goes Neesham and defends with a routine forward defensive no run.
59 for 1. They were off the power play, but actually they probably got more off the. 112 for 1 in the 11th, so they kept it going, didn't they, as well?
Patel in. Down the pitch comes Neesham and controls his shot as he tries to find the gap in between deep mid-wicket and long on. He fails to do so. It was too close to deep mid-wicket, so there is just a single. Neesham onto 6. And there is a feeling about this game that it is all a bit quiet. There's not many people in the crowd. It's Patel in, tosses this one up. Goldsworthy goes for what I think was a big hit at first. He gets enough on it down the ground. It's safe, and there is no run. But it's a very quiet atmosphere. Leicestershire started very quietly. They've lost key wickets too. They're a bit under the cosh. Strange atmosphere at the Uptonsteel County Ground. Patel in. Forward goes Neesham, pushes it behind square, and Goldsworthy, whose call it was at the non-strikers, then sends Neesham back. End of the over. It's Samit Patel, so often the vanquisher of Leicestershire in years gone by for Nottinghamshire. Bowls a very smart over once again. So just 3 off it from it in the end, Richard. Yep, 3 off it from Samit Patel's opening over. The Fox is 48 for 3 off 7 overs.
It's what he does, isn't it? Samit, he's wonderfully effective. He kind of knows his limitations, such as they are. Bowls accordingly. Just the 6 wickets for him this season, but his economy rate is outstanding, 6.77 from 31 overs, which is almost as good. Alex Thompson is going to bowl some spin from this pavilion end. Looks around him. Got a bit of cover out on the offside now in front of the manual scoreboard, as well as on the leg side in the shade of the trees. In he goes and bowls round the wicket to Goldsworthy, who goes back, works it down towards short third man, where Amir is waiting. The life of an international cricketer. 1 minute you're playing in the World Cup in front of big crowd in. They played a couple of games in New York, didn't they, Pakistan?
Yeah, they did.
Big crowd. In goes Thompson and bowls. Neesham is forward, suspiciously, just dropping it down to his feet. Here he is at Grace Road.
There's a big Pakistani community in New York, isn't there? I read a story about the NYPD cricket team.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Look forward to that one. In goes Thompson and bowls down the wicket, and he's going to be... Oh, how is he not bowled or stumped? He is neither. He came down the wicket, had a big yahoo, missed it, looked for all the world like it was going to hit the stumps. It didn't, and Brooke Guest didn't take it. Neesham was almost running towards the pavilion there. That is an incredible escape. A let-off for Jimmy Neesham. Well, the 50 comes up with those 4 byes, but goodness me, if he goes on to make a big score, Derbyshire will rue that miss. Thompson is in. He tries the reverse sweep, doesn't get. We might have got something on it on the back of the bat. No, it's going to be leg byes as it trickles to short third man, and the single is taken. Neesham remains therefore on 6, 54 for 3. Hamish reckons 165 would be a fantastic score. And he's got a point. Thompson round the wicket to Goldsworthy, goes back wristily, turns it out towards wide mid-wicket. Should be I thought there was definitely going to be 2 there. However, running around is an Aaron Donald. He's been in spectacular form with the bat and gets his throw away, and Neesham settles for 1. Neesham and Goldsworthy settle for 1. Goldsworthy into double figures now, 55 for 3. Thompson steps in and bowls down the wicket goes. Neesham doesn't get there, but manages to get some bat on it, runs it out towards wide long on. It's a bit of work for Madsen to do to run round to get to the ball, and this time they do pick up 2. End of the over. Another very good one of spin. 57 for 3 at the end of it. Neesham 8, Goldsworthy 10.
Neesham is playing an intriguing innings right now. He is trying to be aggressive. I can't work out whether that's what's called for, really, because I can certainly see the argument. You know, the run rate is 7 and over, 57 for 3, 8 overs gone, sort of running out of time, and some aggression to try and put Derbyshire on the back foot might be necessary, but feels overly risky right now. Patel will continue from the Bennett end, and Goldsworthy will drive his first delivery, which is of a full length, straight to cover. There is no run. The run rate is slowing significantly. Patel in. Bowls and slog swept by Goldsworthy. That's an excellent shot that again picks out the man deep on the leg side. Deep mid wicket is there and fields. 58 for 3 now the score. Goldsworthy onto 11 from 14. He's charging down the pitch, is Neesham. He's trying to create something, but I don't think he's middled a shot yet, bar his 4. There's a peel. Oh, he's bowled him. Attempted sweep, and Neesham looked utterly bemused because it snuck through. Wasn't entirely sure. I think possibly. I'm not sure actually. He was totally bemused about how he got out. There was a bit of a delay in reaction to see whether he had been bowled. And Jimmy Neesham, who looked incredibly uncomfortable out there for the whole period, now has to depart. He has gone for 8, and Leicestershire are now in trouble. They are 58 for 4. No, he was bowled.
Bottom edge between the legs?
Yeah, I think so. I think it may have been just round him. I think it may have been an off stump, middle stump jobby. I think it just beat him for flight outside his off stump, and he has to go.
Well, he wasn't trying to overhit it, but he did have the most incredible let off the previous over, so arguably any runs thereafter would have been a massive bonus anyway. So, well, he'll have better days, hopefully. Louis Kimber does now come to the wicket, but this is not the sort of wicket when he can go for his shots straight away. He's going to have to just have a little bit of a look.
He faces Patel. He comes in, bowls. It's tossed up, and Patel leans into this and plays this crisply down the ground. There is a single added to the total. 59 for 4. Kimber off the mark. That run rate now under 7. And well, at the moment, Leicestershire are going for about 130, something like that. Oh, it's Goldsworthy. It's an outside edge from Patel, who bowls a very full delivery, and Goldsworthy was tucked up there. Chappell slides along the floor, and 2 more added from Goldsworthy. No batsman has looked comfortable at all in the past few minutes. Goldsworthy hanging on in there. He's 13 not out. In comes Patel. Back goes Goldsworthy and inside edges this onto his pads. That was not the right shot. He was playing down the wrong line and got the thick inside edge onto his pads. That's the end of the over. Patel 2 overs for 7. 1 wicket in there. The wily old fox, or the wily old falcon, I should say, is out foxing Leicestershire right now. 61 for 4. And they are really under the pump right now. Interesting fact from Thompson, he hasn't got a wicket in the T20 Blast yet. He's got a 9.5 and over. He's normally so effective, but struggled this season.
Well, he very, very nearly had Neesham. What will Kimber make of him? In goes Thompson, bowls outside off stump. Kimber, I'm not quite sure what shot he was trying to play there, sort of play it straight back down towards long off. Perhaps he missed it anyway, and it went through arrow straight outside off stump into the gloves of Guest, who took the bails off. Kimber just backs away there, just gives himself a little bit of room to work it away through long on. Again, playing slightly across the line. No real turn for Thompson, but Kimber picks up 1. It's all about sort of judging the pace of the pitch as far as the batsmen are concerned, and at the moment they're struggling. Thompson is in and bowls. Down the wicket goes Goldsworthy. Hits over mid-wicket for 6. Well, he used his feet there, and he didn't exactly take the pitch out of the equation because it did hit the pitch, but he made it into a slot ball and used his feet really nicely, timed it well, and lofted it over that wide mid-wicket position in front of the members' seats next to the meet for 6. So really positive blow from Lewis Goldsworthy. He moves on to 19 off 17, 68 for 4. Thompson jogs in, bowls again. He uses his feet, top edges it. No, not going to be caught. He absolutely top edged it, and it skewed away over backward point. Madsen backpedaled quickly and flung himself into the air. If anybody could, he could, but in fact he couldn't quite get there. no other fielder probably would have done either, and Goldsworthy picks up a very fortuitous single. Moves on to 20.69 for 4. Thompson is in. Back goes Kimber, hits it up into the air. It's going to drop safe just before long off, who comes in and takes it on the bounce. So you wouldn't say Leicestershire are timing the cover off the ball at the moment. There was that one great Goldsworthy shot in the over. Otherwise, it's up into the air. And trust to luck. Thompson is in 2 Goldsworthy bowls fuller this time and clips it away on the half volley out towards long on, where Donald is the fielder and 1 is taken. An eventful over, 71 for 4 at the halfway stage. Leicestershire, I think if you offered them 150 now, they'd bite your hands off.
I agree. Well, it's a good shot from Goldsworthy. First boundary off the bat since when, Richard? I've got the answer on my computer screen, so you can't look. Okay. I've now hit net. 6.3 overs was the last time a boundary came off the bat before that, and so it was nearly 3 overs since we last had a boundary. Patel, who's yet to concede 1 off his 2 overs, forces Goldsworthy back, and he plays a handsome shot to deep mid-wicket, just rocking off and playing it off his pad. 72 for 4 is the score. Goldsworthy on to 22. Patel in, and Kimber goes big, and that is huge. That's gone way over the scoreboard. I think that has gone onto the Milligan Road as well. And there's some ladies down there in the Geary bar jumping up and down, waving their 6 banners. That was a monster hit into the trees once again. Kimber finally latching onto this. I think these two have decided, Richard, they're going to go for this now. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to try and take it to Derbyshire, because they're completely on top of them. And the score now 78 for 4. Patel in. Kimber makes room for himself. He's hit this straight down the throat of long on, and he's taking it. Jumping in the air. It's a good catch. And Patel turns and celebrates hugely, because he's hit it straight down long off's throat. And I just felt that wasn't necessary. He was looking to be aggressive.
Just hit a 6. Just try to pick up 1 then, or a couple. We didn't anyway.
Looking to be sort of needlessly aggressive there. That's how it felt. And Patel just tossed it up, and he went back down to it. And a lot of hope for Kimber in this innings, because of course he'd done so well in the county championship, been so aggressive, played with this brilliant freedom, but he's failed again sadly in this competition and has to depart. And the Foxes 78 for 5 and in a heap of trouble now. And Kimber, if you look at his last 6 innings, 10, 3, 17, 10, 2 and 2. And then you can add 9 to that. He's not in form and not finding form in this competition right now.
It is frustrating. Such a clean hitter, that big 6, and then thought that was going to clear Donald. Took it well, didn't he? Jumped into the air. Made sure he was standing a couple of feet in front of the rope at long off, in case he had to sort of step backwards, and made no mistake. And as you say, Patel really celebrated the ball after being hit for 6.
And he comes, he bowls. Forward goes Ben Cox, who has played a number of really, really good innings for Leicestershire. Actually, in this sort of position, he's very sort of busy at the crease. They're not going to smack it around, but to try and find the gaps and manipulate the ball around the field, get boundaries. He got a big 50, didn't he, against Yorkshire here at Grace Road. He's played some vital knocks. He'll need to do so again. Goldsworthy's key to the innings too. He's 22 not out. Patel bowls, and it's hit Goldsworthy on the pad, squirts away behind square on the leg side, where a single is added. 80 for 5. Cox off the mark the previous ball before that, just getting the ball away into the leg side too. Patel in, final ball of the over, swept right. Cox, that's a wonderful shot, beautifully placed sweep shot. There's a man in at short fine leg, he's actually quite square, and then there's also a man at deep backward square leg, so he was able to work that beautifully in the gap for 4 runs, and that's a very good end to the over. It was expensive
13
over,
from it, yeah.
But the wicket, and a big wicket too, of Louis Kimber. So 84 for 5 is the score. So run rate at 77.6 after 11 overs.
This might be sort of Cox's kind of wicket, you know.
Yeah.
Back foot, quick feet, clever shots. working the ball around. Could be an important knock for him. And as you say, memories of that 50. Was that last time actually out on Grace Road? I think it was for him in this competition. In goes Thompson, bowls to Goldsworthy, reaches forward, clips it away on the half volley down towards Donald at long on, takes one. They can play around each other, these two. Not dissimilar in some respects. Patel moves across from extra cover to mid-wicket for Cox. Both right-handers. Leicestershire sporting baby in tears somewhere below us. In goes Thompson. Bowls from over the wicket, turned towards Patel, who gets across and picks it up. Gets his throw away from a almost recumbent position. But Cox has taken one anyway. He moves on to 686 for 5. Thompson goes back round to Goldsworthy. Little bit shorter this time. Cut from outside off stump out to the sweeper on the point boundary.
I think he was trying to get that a little finer.
Ross Whiteley up there. One taken. Goldsworthy on to 24. Cox looks around him. Again, Patel swaps sides because Thompson is going to go over the wicket to Ben Cox. Bowls onto leg stump. Foolish. Just waits for it, Cox, and clips it out towards mid-wicket. Brown comes in off the ropes. One is taken.
Big tall figure, isn't he, Thompson? I think he's 6'4",
He
very unusual for a spinner. I'll get a little bit of bounce.
Steps in and bowls outside off stump. Drivable and has been driven and driven for 4. Very nice as well. Half volley in the slot outside off stump. He might wipe his hands on the dust at the crease, but it was just a over-pitch delivery. And Goldsworthy, who isn't a tall man, could step out, get to the pitch of it and drive it very nicely and conventionally to the extra cover, stroke wide long off boundary for 4. Thompson is in again, straightens up his line. Goldsworthy sort of leaning forward, clips it out towards Donald at long on, and one is taken. 93 for 5, so in the end, with that 4, 9 runs off the over, and that's decent return at this stage, I suggest.
So my formula, double the score at 12 overs, would get Leicestershire to 186.
Yeah, well, great stuff.
That would be incredible. I don't think they will. The 5 wickets being the main barrier to that. But it's just that Goldsworthy drive, it's just perfect cricket for the moment and for the game situation where they don't need to smack it around. The gaps are there. Derbyshire brought the field in because Leicestershire are under so much pressure, and so if you want to play classically, you can do. That's just a textbook cover drive. Pat Brown, 2 overs so far. He will come in now from the Bennett end. Pace bowler, right arm over the wicket. He comes in and bowls down the leg side, and so a wide will be signalled. The sun shines off the umpire's sunglasses up to the commentary box, and Brown will have to bowl that again. Goldsworthy shuffling across his stumps, and so it was only just down the leg side, but it was correctly signalled a wide. 94 for 5. The run rate up at 7.8.
Beautiful summer's evening now. There's barely a cloud in the sky.
It is lovely. It was a bit of rain just before we got underway. If you're just joining us, Brown in, bowls, bangs this in. Goldsworthy is quick onto it and gets 4 runs. That's a sublime shot. Found the gap perfectly as mid-on is up, and it's a short delivery. Goldsworthy is onto it very quickly. If anything, I think he played it a little bit too early, which meant that it went so far forward of square. But it was perfectly placed to get to the boundary rope. 98 for 5. Goldsworthy's played a blinder here. 33 off 26. Very nondescript start, but he's dragging Leicestershire along. Brown in, bowls, slower ball, and Goldsworthy didn't know whether to come forward or back there, and so plays it into the ground, and Patel at short cover fields. I mean, just to illustrate it, they've got mid-off and mid-on up. They've got Patel at cover, close in at cover too. They've got a backward point, orthodox. They've got plenty of men in. Everybody is out on the leg side, bar that mid-on. But there are boundaries there to be had. Certainly behind square, there's also a third man. In comes Brown, bowls, slower delivery, back goes Goldsworthy and wristily flicks it over to the leg side, and he adds a single, moves on to 34, the score 99 for 5. Cox now on strike on 7. And you're right, it's the sun now shining to our right hand side. Perfect blue skies right above us, and white clouds over in the distance. The floodlights are on. It seems a little bit silly, but to be fair, I presume when they were turned on it would have been dark around here. You would have been worried that rain play would have been affected. No fears about that right now. Brown past the umpire, bowls, slower, bouncer, and Cox again wristily flicks it behind square on the leg side this time. Deep backward square leg is there to field, and Leicester should get the 100 up. 12.4 overs, going at just under 8 and over. These two vital for any Leicestershire big score here if they're to get towards it, 160, which is probably about par. That might be a good score, 160, considering what we have found to be a two-pace nature of the pitch. Brown charges in now, his elbow's jutting out. He's in, he bowls a bouncer, and it's left alone by Goldsworthy. No ball is given. Too high. There are some Derbyshire fans in the house.
Derbyshire members getting free tonight here, so yeah, there's definitely a few of them have made the trip.
And Goldsworthy is a small man. It was left alone by Goldsworthy.
Definitely was. Wayne Madson's disagreeing as well, but it.
So Brown to bowl this one again, and it's driven down the ground, and it hits either. I'm not sure everybody was in my way there, Rich, so I didn't see. Did he
stuck out his right foot and stopped it, but because he was doing that, Cox was thinking he might just deflect it onto the stumps and turned and flung himself back into his crease. It might have been one to be taken otherwise.
I wasn't sure it had hit Brown or whether it had hit Cox, but it had Cox diving for safety inside his crease. There was no run from that delivery. 102 for 5 is the score. This is the final ball of the 13th over. Brown is in, he's up to the wicket, he bowls a slower delivery outside off stump, and Goldsworthy waits for it but doesn't time it and gets a single out to deep points. That is the end of the 13th over, so 7 remain, I should say.
10 from it.
10 from it. Do you know what? I have to say Leicestershire have played pretty handily of late. They've kept the run rate up. If you look at the last few overs since Samit Patel's over the 9th that went for 4, 10, 13, 9, 10.
Yeah, exactly. No, they've played well, these two. Kimber got a couple away obviously before getting out, but well, one away, but these two have played very sensible cricket, and it's been rewarded. Rees is in with his left armers, gentle left armers. It swings back in a little bit from around the wicket, driven on pretty much the half volley out towards Thompson at long off by Goldsworthy. Moves on to 35. This Rees, very short haircut at the moment, short back and sides to the nth degree. Emerges from behind the umpire. Runs in and bowls. Again, very gentle delivery. It's probably not much more than about 70 miles an hour, that sort of stuff. Clipped by Cox out towards long on. Donald comes into field almost on the edge of the circle. And Cox indicates to Goldsworthy a little bit of gentle swing in. Gentle's the word. Guest understandably standing up to the stumps. It's almost slow medium, really. Rees is in and bowls outside off stump, cut away. It was a little bit too short and he could wait for it. Goldsworthy chop it away. It wasn't the most attractive of shots, but it was very, very effective. Hit it well in front of square, past Patel out to the boundary in front of the Geary bar, and he picks up 4, moves into the 40s. 40 off 33 balls. Valuable, potentially valuable innings being played by Lewis Goldsworthy. In goes Rees, bowls to him, he waits for it, clips it in the air, gently out towards mid-wicket. Brown comes scampering in, long run in, about 30 yards before he gets to the ball, but even so, just the single. Goldsworthy on to 41, 110 for 5, 7 off the first 4 balls of the over. I've got the 4, keep working it around. Rees is in, bowls to Cox down the leg side. Cox ignores it, taken by Guest, but obviously signalled wide. Inexcusable, really, when you're bowling at that sort of pace.
Yeah.
111 for 5. Score beginning to build promisingly for the Foxes. They don't want to lose another wicket now. Still 6 overs and 2 balls to go. In goes Rees and bowls. Going forward is Cox, pushing firmly at the ball. Takes a thickish inside edge and runs out towards mid-on, which means Donald has to come running in from long on, and Cox takes 1. He's into double figures now, on to 10. 112 for 5. 9 off the first 5 balls. Well, 6 if you include the wide, but 5 legitimate deliveries. In goes Rees and bowls. Very slow, gentle, swinging delivery, but just about made it into a Yorker by stepping out Goldsworthy. Drove it into the ground, bounced up nicely for Patel to field. End of the over. 9 runs from it, but no real threat at all. And these two continue to, well, do a bit more than consolidate, really, in these middle overs. They've given the innings a little bit of a basis, a little bit of momentum.
It's not a game so far in an innings that I would bring a neutral to, but these are very important runs being scored. They're going at a decent pace. We're seeing some fantastic shots. I'm really impressed by the way that these two have managed to find the boundary when needed. Samit Patel will bowl his final over. It's a sweep from Cox. It's up in the air. He's going to be out. Just as he's got. Oh, he's dropped it! He's dropped it. A simple catch at deep backward square leg. That was such a simple catch from the man out there. And I don't know whether the sun was in his eyes. It was right on the boundary rope. He nearly spilt it for a 6 as well. As a result, just jumped up in the air and then it dolloped down to the floor. Cox somehow survives. Patel in, Goldsworthy down the ground and will pick up a single. Crikey O'Reilly, I cannot believe that was dropped. I was just congratulating them for their shot selection, and Cox trying to nerdle it round the corner. Got a little bit too much on it, I think.
It was terribly casual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way he sort of went. He looked to have all the time. Well, he'd have all the time in the world, really. Thompson down there.
As Patel bowls, and Cox this time plays more sensibly, and they find the gap between deep mid-wicket and deep square leg, and they brilliantly run for 2. Low centre of gravity, both of them, and they were able to scamper between the wickets there and get themselves 2. 116 for 5. Cox onto 13, given the most remarkable of lives. Patel left arm coming round the wicket, back goes Cox and drives through the covers for a single. So the score moves on to 117 for 5. 2 balls left in the 15th over. The run rate now at 8. And there's been 5 off this over so far. Patel is in, he bowls. Goldsworthy goes immediately. I think he wanted to go for the big hit, but in the end, rather sensibly, drives it forward of square on the leg side, and they get 2. Okay, they forced the misfield, 2 from deep mid-wicket, as he tried to pick it up one-handed to rush things, but ended up spilling it. So 2 more. Goldsworthy onto 44 off 37. What a vital knock this is. Leicestershire getting towards 120 here on BBC Radio Leicester. Patel in, he bowls, drags this one down, back goes Goldsworthy and times that nicely, but it's just too close to the fielder at deep mid-wicket, and he will get a single. So that means that 8 have come off the 15th over. Leicestershire 119 for 5, and this pair now put on a vital 42, Richard. Yeah. That has put Leicestershire in a solid position to be able to put a decent score. You'd still say between 150 and 160 probably the most likely at the moment, but that all depends on not losing wickets. Yeah. That's the key here.
Get over that sort of 160 mark. If they get it up to 170, even whisper it 180, that would be a really, I suspect, challenging score. Patel's still giving Thompson evils as he walks back there. I'm not surprised, because he looked terribly casual as he dropped that catch. Zach Chappell is back with us from the pavilion end. In he goes, bowl slightly short, chipped up into the air because it doesn't really come on by Goldsworthy. He's going to turn for the second. It's not a great throw that comes in. In fact, it's a real mess of a throw really from David Lloyd, and Goldsworthy picks up a couple. Derbyshire's fielding hasn't been massively impressive. They've missed two huge chances and simple chances, Guest and Thompson. And it's beginning to fall a little bit apart on the ground as well. In goes Chappell and bowls. Back goes Goldsworthy. Turns it out towards long on, and Aaron Donald comes running into field, and that is a better piece of fielding. Throws on the bounce to Guest behind the stumps, and Goldsworthy settles for his single. He moves on to 48. 1, 2, 3 for 5.
I'd have to say, I raised my eyebrows at Goldsworthy coming in at, was it number 3 he came in? Or number 4, wasn't it, after Sterling was dismissed? But he was the perfect man to bring in.
In he goes. Chappell, that is, clubbed by Cox. Baseball style, straight back, almost through the umpire. Managed just to get out of the way in time. Would have neatly hit him in the chest. The umpire, had he not got out of the way. Chappell obviously couldn't reach across to his right, but running across from long on, Donald fielded, and Cox picks up a couple. The Leicestershire supporters are getting involved now. They're a bit more enthusiastic and hopeful. This batting defiance from Goldsworthy and Cox. In goes Chappell, bowls down the leg side. Did get a bit of a glove on it. Cox pulled it around the corner, but Guest dived to his left on the bounce, made the stop. So good work by Brooke Guest. Saved certainly 2, may even have gone down to the fine leg boundary for 4. So good work by him.
I think Cox, as soon as he hit that, as it was going down the leg side, he got a little tickle on it. I think he was certainly got 4, but Guest read that fantastically.
Chappell is in and bowls slightly short. Down the wicket goes Cox, pulls it out, clubs it out towards deep mid-wicket. Donald throws on the bounce, and it is just 1. Cox rehearses the little short-armed pull. Moves on to 17. 1, 2, 6 for 5. 6 from the over so far. Chappell 2 for 27 from his 2.5. Patel also has 2. Should have had 3. Chappell to finish his 3rd over is in. Slow ball, drops short, cut out towards Whiteley, who comes in from the point boundary and takes the catch. And there's a slightly sarcastic / ironic round of applause, but Whiteley ran in. It was low, so it wasn't too much in the sun, and he got 2 hands to it and took it pretty nicely in the circumstances. So, well, that was a really good effort from Lewis Goldsworthy. Wasn't quite able to convert it into a half century, nearly did so, but it's an important knock, and 48 in this context worth, I suspect, rather more than that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic innings from him. It's a shame he just couldn't go on, but he's given Leicestershire a platform. The key here is not to collapse, and they've still got batting to come. They've got Ben Mike, who can more than hold a bat. You've got Tom Scriven. You've got an all-rounder in Sam Wood as well. There is batting to come for Leicestershire, but it's about ensuring that what they do is they keep the run rate at a similar level, at about 8, and they can move towards 150, 160. But Goldsworthy played fantastically. Just he hit out once, didn't he, I think? And what was a safe shot, and then the rest of the time played along the floor, found the gaps, looked for the gaps, and pushed Leicestershire forward. We've got penalties in Dusseldorf.
Oh, it has gone to Penrose, has it?
Yes, we've got penalties in Dusseldorf between England and Switzerland. To be honest, I'm glad I'm doing this. England have won 2 of 9.
Ah, they're due then. They're due. The law of averages suggests it's an absolute certainty that England will win. There you go. You heard it here first.
I'm glad I'm doing this, I have to say, Richard, so otherwise I think it'd be unbearable.
Mohamed Amir is back on.
Yes, he will bowl from the Bennett end under sunshine. We've had a bit of a gap. You haven't missed any cricket. Ben Cox was asking for some new equipment. He's getting a new bat delivered. And so someone charges out. Is that Raymond
Sam
Walker
Evans,
or Sam Evans who charges out with the bat horizontally across his hips? And Mohamed Amir will come in 11 from his opening 2 overs. And this now finally poised innings with Leicestershire 126 for 6, 4 overs to go.
I think it's going to be difficult for new batsmen, so that Cox kind of needs to stay in, doesn't he, here, if that makes any sort of sense. You know, just give Mike a chance to have a look at 1 or 2.
And he will run in now. Cox 17 not out of 13 deliveries. Amir is in, bowls outside off stump, a slower delivery. It's driven, well controlled that by Cox, and they come through for 2. That's brilliantly well run. And they add 2 more to the total. That was actually decently bowled from Amir, trying to tempt the drive with the slower delivery, but Cox controlled it well. Got 2 more, 128 for 6. Cox on to 19. Mike, you'd think, will play more aggressively. Tends to be how he will play, whereas I suggest Cox is best. You're right, Richard, as the in batsman trying to find the gaps, manoeuvre it around the field. That's a change in the field. You've got 2 men going out now. There's a deep backward point going out. It's more of a sort of wide third man perhaps, and Amir will run in now. In towards us, he's bowling from the Bennett end, left arm over the wicket, in he comes, bowls a bouncer, and that is slightly fortunate. A top edge from Cox. He got down on one knee and ended up whipping the ball, trying to sort of slog sweep it, but he got a top edge over the wicketkeeper's head for a 1 bounce 4. So that's an important boundary.
Brave shots these, aren't they? Because I think that would have pinned him straight on the forehead if he hadn't got the bat to it, but down on one knee.
132 for 6. Cox on to 23.
I think I'd have been leaning to one side as I played that one,
yeah,
slightly. But
I think I would have just
Cox
dived
wasn't.
on the floor. 132 for 6 then, with 4 balls left in the over. As Amir is in now, he's past the umpire, he bowls outside off stump. That's a good delivery with the angle, and well, Cox tried to reach it at first, but it was too wide for him. Cleverly bowled by the Pakistan international.
It was, yeah, it was just inside the blue line.
And of course, with the angle, the left arm going across the right-hander, it can get wider. You can use that angle to stay within the line and still keep it wide. Amir in, bowl straight Yorker, and that is swept for 4. Attempted diving stop, and
Chappell got his hand to it.
Chappell got his hand to it, but it bounced over the boundary rope. And there's another 4 from Cox. Slight nervousness about how this innings is going to end, but with Cox at the helm, things should be all right. 136 for 6. Tell you what, Leicestershire will aim. I think they could quite reasonably aim for 170 if they keep their wickets in hand and if Cox stays in, but I think 150, 160 probably still the more likely, with 3.2 overs to go. And Amir is in. If you're wondering what that celebration is for, I'll tell you in a moment. Amir in, and that's again a decent delivery. Oh, that one is given a wide.
It was an inch wider, wasn't it? And that's all it needed.
Jordan Pickford has just saved the first penalty from Switzerland from a Kanji. It's a terrible penalty. We've got people watching on the screen behind us on the far side of the ground. As Amir turns, holds the ball into his chest and now runs in towards us. In he comes, and there's an inside edge, well stopped by Guest again. That's fantastic. He's played really, really well behind the stumps. An inside edge hit into the ground by Cox, and a single is taken. So 138 for 6 is the score. Mike now on strike, about to face his first ball. And he's got a big roll at the moment as Ben Mike. I wonder how he'll play. He's taking a guard on off stump. That's maybe how he'll play. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's difficult. But try and use Amir's pace, but if you take the pace off it, it's very difficult.
Yeah. So Amir, long runner, tall, athletic figure is Amir, and he charges in now. Bowls this, and Mike's just chipped him up straight into the air. It's landed just in front of the fielder at mid-off, who I think decided. I mean, it would have been a very, very good catch had he made the decision. It may have been impossible. It's difficult for us to judge the flight up here. Either way, that is the end of the over, and the score is also 138 for 6. Yeah, 12 off that over. Some excellent play from Cox to get him to 28 and get the Foxes to 138. What do you think, 160 possible at the moment? Just wickets in hand with 3 overs to go.
18 balls to go. 22 gets you that 160, so they'd hope for more than 22 off the last 3. As I say, 170, and I think is a really decent score. Brown back to bowl. His final over is in. Bowls from the pavilion end, edged down to third man, 4-4. Cox came charging down the wicket. It was a slightly slower ball. So many edges throughout this innings, but it was a top edge. It went fine of Amir at short third, down into the advertising hoardings in front of the hospitality marquee. Cox is riding his luck, but he's playing a important innings. He's moved on to 32 off 19, 142 for 6.
The luck has gone Leicestershire's way, hasn't it?
It has. Brown is in and bowls. Slower ball, clubbed back, straight back down towards long gone. Donald runs round in front of us, almost directly behind the stumps, picks up tumbles and throws, but Cox picks up 2. Mike only has had to face the 1 ball so far, which he very nearly holed out of. Nearly gave Rees a very simple catch at mid-off, dropped just short. Fortunate for Leicestershire, Cox has faced every other delivery. 34 off 20 for him, 144 for 6. Brown is in and bowls hit up into the air, out towards long gone. Donald is under it, but he's not going to be able to take it. It's dropped over his head and over the ropes for 6. It looked like it was going to be straight down his throat. In fact, he got that little bit more of it than everybody thought, and no chance for Donald in the end. Standing on the ropes, it dropped over his head. Cox moves on to 40, brings up the 150.
It's a vital knock, this. Fantastic from Cox. That little bit of aggression. I have to say, I thought immediately, I thought he hasn't got that.
Yeah, looked like it was going straight down his throat, didn't it? In goes Brown and bowls. Cox spars away outside off stump and misses. Ben Cox made 50 not out of 31 balls at home to Durham. He's had a 29 off 21 as well. Otherwise, this is his 3rd double-figure score, but really important innings. 40 off 22. 2 balls left in the 18th over. Brown is in and bowls short and pulled by Cox down to fine leg, where Lewis Rees is fielding, and 1 is taken. Cox onto 41, 151 for 6. Brings Mike down to face what will only be his 2nd ball. 13 balls, legitimate balls remaining. 20 off those gives Leicestershire 170, 171. And I think that would be a competitive score, to say the least. Mike makes Brown wait, then shuffles into place. As you said, his guard is actually, looks like it's almost outside off stump. As Brown is in and bowls short, pulled by Ben. Mike out towards mid-wicket. There should be 2 in it, and there will be 2 in it, because both fielders running in from the leg side boundary had a long way to go to get to the ball. David Lloyd got there first, wasn't able to pick up cleanly. So Mike picks up a couple. He moves on to 2, 153 for 6 after 8. They've got themselves into a decent position here, Leicestershire.
England have gone through, Richard, and in the interval someone might need to give me a hug. 153 for 6 is the score. This is another vital innings for Cox. He's been a good little addition, this for Leicestershire, hasn't he, this season? He's perfect for this kind of scenario when Leicestershire lose 4-5 wickets.
15 off that over.
Amir is in to bowl his final over. In he comes. That's a horribly wide delivery, well outside off stump. And well, that's really what a massive celebration for that wide from Mohammed Amir. That's a big celebration from the Foxes fans.
I think the car park will empty now. Hopefully they'll all come and see these last couple of overs.
Amir it is, running in towards us now. He is up to the wicket. He bowls again, a wide delivery. It's hit into the ground. There could be a run out. No, actually, Mike is there and is sent back and spots it soon enough.
That might have been signalled wide if he'd left it, but
I think
reach for it.
Shonabal full outside off stump. England win their 3rd penalty shootout in their history. Pub quiz question: what was the other European Championship penalty shootout they won? Connor wasn't alive, if that gives you a clue. Amir in bowls. Cox moves across the stumps. That's a great sweep shot, but he's picked out the man at deep mid-wicket. 1996, Richard, against Spain in the quarter-finals. 155 for 6th score. That's a really good shot from Cox. Amir trying to bowl well wide outside the off stump.
So do they play Spain now in the semi-finals?
No, they play the winner, Netherlands and Turkey tonight.
Oh, right, okay.
Amir it is, charging in towards us, his elbows jutted out. In he comes, he bowls, and Mike gets a thick inside edge. He's going to get 4 for it. Well, that's a great result for Leicestershire. It was a very good Yorker from Amir. It's the best possible result you could have got from that delivery, really. And it squeaked away for 4 runs. And Leicestershire still building, still building. They're getting up towards 159 for 6 now, the score, isn't it? They should. Yeah. With 9 balls left, they should get 170, Richard. Yeah, 175. I think 175 would be a fantastic score.
I agree.
Considering the two-piece nature of the pitch, they've got Ben Cox, Lewis Goldsworthy worthy to thank. How can Ben Mike manage this? In comes Amir. That's hit high up in the air, down towards long on. He's not going to get it. He totally misjudged that, the fielder. Then I think it was swirling in the air and went over his head, and moved away from mid-off. Mike got enough of it.
Horrible, so, as you say, he sort of sliced it as well.
So 161 for 6, still 2 balls left in the over. Mike's able to bludgeon a boundary here, and that would be really good. Get up towards 165, 167 towards the end of this over. Sunny skies at the Uptonsteel County Ground. The Leicestershire fans find their voice. Ben Mike waits, holds the bat up high. In comes Amir, bowls. Mike goes back and pulls this down towards deep mid-wicket, though a single is taken. 162 for 6. So just to remind you, if you're just joining us, where Leicestershire were at some stage, 71 for 4 off 10.
Yeah, 78 for 5 in the
78 for 5 at some stages. It was a run rate as much as anything. They were going along at a sort of tepid pace, as well as losing wickets. Lewis Goldsworthy and Ben Cox have played remarkably sensibly, but they've been busy. They've found runs, they've found twos, they've found boundaries when they've needed to. Final ball of the penultimate over then from Mohammed Amir. In he comes, Cox goes for it, he's hit it high, and for 6! Slog sweep, what a big hit from Ben Cox. And that takes Leicestershire to 168 for 6 with 1 over to go. That was a great shot, great pickup. He tried to do that earlier in the over with Amir bowling with the angle across the right-hander, but he got his front leg right across it, whipped it away for 6 runs. And this is turning into, as Cox goes to 48, this is turning into a very positive innings for Leicestershire. There was a point, and I shouldn't admit my negativity, but there was a point, I've said about 78 for 5, where I thought Leicestershire were going to be bowled out cheaply for 121.
It looked like 140 maximum, didn't it, really? So these last, well, the sort of middle order, the last sort of 7-8 overs have been outstandingly played, really, especially the last 2, which have yielded 30 runs. Chappell is in, bowls to Mike, who pulls him, but only as far as deep backward square, who's in the shade of the trees out there in front of the Uptonsteel stand. So Mike picks up 1, moves into double figures on 210, 169 for 6, 5 balls to go.
So 15 off that Mohammed Amir over, goodness me.
30 off the last 2, well, 42 off the last 3. It's been a really, really good end of the innings for the Foxes. Chappell into Cox on 48, down the wicket, hit up into the air for a massive 6, over long gone into the pavilion. What a marvellous way to go to a pretty sensational 50 in the circumstances. Pitch hasn't been that easy, but once he's worked it out, Cox has made a second 50 for the Foxes in the competition this season. This, I think, is even better than the one he made against Durham earlier this season. It's really been a magnificent effort. It's come off just 27 balls. Chappell is in to him. He's looking to scoop. He steps across. Does get something on the slower ball, the shorter ball, but I think it was mostly glove. It trickles out towards short, fine leg. Guest runs across the field. Cox picks up 1, moves on to 55, 176 for 6.
And it's been a similar tale a bit against Derbyshire at Edgbaston too. You thought the Edgbaston pitch was a better pitch than this, but where they lost early wickets, and then I think it was the 8th wicket partnership then that worked for them.
Chappell in to Mike, short ball clubbed baseball style back over his head out towards long on. Alex Thompson is the fielder, and one is taken. 177 for 6. Looks like it's going to be 180, and boy, they would have settled for that at the halfway stage at 78 for 5. And really, they looked in a lot of bother at that stage. Chappell is in to Cox, who top edges, is pulled down towards wide long leg, and he's got a little bit more on it than I suspected, because it's flown high over the boundary for 6. So I don't know how much Cox has actually middled. Some of these hits, they don't look as though they've come right out of the middle, but I suspect it's about placement as well, and it's all a little bit deceptive. He's moved into the 60s. 61 off just 29 balls for Ben Cox. There's one to go. He's decided he just wants to push the cover on the bat handle that little bit further down. Done that, putting his inners back on now, and he'll get his gloves back on, while the Derbyshire fielders scatter to all parts. They reset the field. Well, Cox is very much his own man at cricket, and he refuses to be hurried under any circumstances. He's been around for a long time, and sometimes it riles opponents, this sort of stuff, but he won't bother him in the slightest. Chappell is in, bowls to him, short, he goes for the pull, it bounces through to Guest, who underarms the ball at the stumps, misses them. Leicestershire get the bye. Mike would have been run out had the throw hit the stumps, it didn't. The Foxes finish on 184 for 6, and in terms of a recovery from 78 for 5, that is a pretty sensational effort. Ben Cox and Lewis Goldsworthy, the main men, but Cox in particular, he finishes 61 not out, and he has given his side a really good chance in this game.
Yeah, fantastic. When you look at, as I say, the times when Leicestershire lost their innings, lost their wickets, 38 for 3, 58 for 4, 78 for 5. And then a vital partnership between Goldsworthy and Cox that built the innings, and then Cox should take the glory for the way he finished things.
58 off the last 4 overs.
Sensational. And on a pitch that isn't easy. I have a feeling that the weather conditions improving may have helped them slightly. But then you look at the overs as they came in towards the end. So from that wicket, Richard, it took them to 78 for 5. I think this is the key thing. They weren't playing with many wickets. But from that was in the 11th over that wicket fell. So 9, 10, 9, 8 runs, then 6, 12, 15, and then how many off that final over there, Richard? That would
16.
have been 16, 15, 15 and 16. That's a fantastic effort. And it's not only that they didn't lose wickets, they played sensibly, but they kept the run rate up. Brilliant stuff from Leicestershire. They've got a really big total to defend. And that was such a sensational performance from them towards the end of their lower order.
And I was trying to think, guys, of a word which sums up Leicestershire's innings. The only word I can think of is resilient.
Yeah, and I think
Depth as well.
Yeah, depth and just guts. So they're the potential to fall apart. Richard will have seen this more than me, but I've seen it plenty of times too. Leicestershire have fallen apart at moments like that, where they've lost wickets, they've had a high scoring rate, and keep things exciting, keep things moving without losing wickets. And to not fall apart there and to play Goldsworthy, and the way that Goldsworthy and Cox play perfectly suited that, and I thought it was a fabulous innings. I had no way that I think Leicestershire would get over 180. They were destined for about 150 for a long part of that innings, so they've done really, really well. It's
a sign once again, Richard, of the depth when it comes to batting in this Leicestershire lineup. I know it's something we've talked about time and time again throughout this T20 Blast campaign, but that's a prime example of it.
Yeah, it is very, very important. It does mean that the likes of Budinger and Patel and the new guys Sterling and Neesham can try and go hard early and know that if it doesn't succeed, then they might be bailed out. You know, but that said, the way that they struggle to come to terms with the lack of pace and indeed bounce in the pitch It looked as though everybody was going to struggle, but Goldsworthy at the start played a really important little innings, 48 off 41 balls, 4 fours and 1 6, and then Cox, 61 off 30 balls, 4 fours and 4 sixes. I didn't think that was really going to be possible on a pitch like that. I don't think Derbyshire bowled particularly well at him, to be quite honest, and certainly, you know, they didn't field as well as they might have done, and as a consequence, you know, that is a big target for them. 185 on that pitch. If Leicestershire bowl well, and it's not their strength, then, you know, they should defend it. But you know, Derbyshire will still fancy this.
What you've got to hope is, and what I do slightly fear if I get my glass half empty out, is that the conditions change slightly from being a little bit overhead, a little bit overcast, to blazing sunshine on this Saturday night. And I fear that those conditions may remain after that does take back. I fear that may on a better hill, more 200 that Derbyshire be able to utilise the pitch and put on runs. But what here is those bowlers do have a lot to bowl at, a lot of pressure on the bowlers who can take pace, very bowlers, slower options with Rahana not here.
And you will there's the right side off the field. One Scrifford, Richard, very finally, what to see from him? Do you expect him to open the bowling or come the attack later on?
He might get a bit. If anybody's going to swing it, Tom will. I mean, it probably won't swing that much. It didn't swing for Amir, did it, early up for him? But I would think he'll probably get 1 or 2 in the power play and hope to get a little bit of swing and nip a couple out early.
Richard Ray, Adam Whitty, thank you very much. We'll be back for the second innings a little later on here on BBC Radio Leicester. Just for confirmation, though, Derbyshire Falcons needing 185 runs to win here at Grace Road as the Foxes hope to continue their fine form in the shorter version of the game. Elsewhere in the past few moments, where you heard the cheers during the commentary, this has just happened. So Dale will do Trent first, yeah? And it's Kelly Summers interviews, is it? Yeah.
Lovely Kelly.
So remember the boos against Denmark and Slovenia, the boos, the plastic cups being thrown onto the pitch. Well, there's a party atmosphere here at Grace Road this evening. Vindaloo blaring out to the speakers. Trent Alexander-Arnold with the winning penalty. Only the 3rd time that England have won a penalty shootout. The first time since 2018. After the game, Kelly Summers spoke with the Liverpool and England star. Cool. You're very quiet, Dale. I don't know why. There we go, that's better. Why are you standing? Oh, I know. Oh. I thought you meant Sophie using a stick. I thought you meant... Right, Trent Arnold speaking to BBC late for here from the England kick off in the next also in that contest.
And that would be huge for them. Get 5th victory because get through the quarterfinals. But they've got 185 win or it's not yet. Of skiing lose 6 points, that would probably be them done. Charles will start from far end 10, get his run up for basic car park. He's that start can he get for the Foxes? 9.2 and over is required as Reese and Donald get Derbyshire underway. As Hull bowls a straight delivery to Reese, who defends only blue with the small bit of white. The floodlights sort of pointlessly on, but they were not pointless when they were first turned on. So Donald, it's a right-hand, left-hand combination. The two men out in the field. We've got a deep mid-wicket who's quite square, and a ball in straight away well cut. Donald cut. Donald able to get 2, 3, 4, no loss.
Looks like I'm afraid there are stream issues. It's to do with the Wi-Fi. Apologies about it. Refreshing sometimes helps.
Hull it is who's running in towards us. He does a stuttered start and then fully gets into his groove. Here he is, left arm over the wicket. That looked quick and it's driven. In fact, that's going to go for 4, I think. Or is Mike going to be able to chase that? In fact, he is. He's going to be able to cut that off running around from third man. It went to a backward point position and 2 more added to the total. So 5, 4, no loss. You'll have a strange experience today. We've had a very good game. I wonder if there's anybody who's then going to Kasabian after this. Probably a little bit late. Probably due on stage any time around now, aren't they, over at Victoria Park. Josh Hull running in towards us from the Bennett end. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. A straight delivery, whipped high in the air, and that is going to be 6 just over the boundary rope. About 3 or 4 feet past the boundary rope. Nice pick up. It was on his legs and he just had to sort of guide, whip it wristily. And it flew away for 6 runs. There's the first boundary. This is actually quite an expensive first over. Had 11 off it already.
Yeah, it's a sort of pace-off sort of wicket, this, isn't it? And Hull's extra little bit of pace might not be kind of entirely suited to it. That one sat up nicely on the hip of Donald, but he has played some spectacular knocks in recent weeks. Donald, 50s off 19 balls sort of thing.
As Hull is in, his hair bouncing as he charges a bit of in-swing and he gets an inside edge that nearly goes back onto the stumps. It squirms away square of the wicket on the leg side, and so that's the end of the over. 12 off it. Oh no, there's 1 ball left. Sorry, it's the change of field from left hand to right hand that I was confusing with the end of the over. So it's 173 to win. I'm going to feed right now, Derbyshire.
Foxy Phil, we'll need every run by the look of this.
You wonder whether conditions have changed and changed the way that the pitch is playing. As Hull past the umpire now, he bowls and Rees moves right across the stumps and whips it away for 4. Goodness me, what an expensive opening over. Finds the gap. The fine leg was up in Sterling and he crunched it behind square on the leg side, did Rees, and that means that 16 runs have come off first over. That looked like what looks like easy conditions out there. Rees on to 9, Donald 11, 16 for no loss. Derbyshire require 169 to win off 19 overs.
I don't think it's changed that much. I do think it's about the pace with which you deliver the ball. I think you've got to be canny about this and work it out a little bit. Sometimes pitches react differently to different pace deliveries. We'll see what Tom Scriven can do. But I think the key is not to try and push it through too much and let the pitch sort of grip the ball a little bit. Hull's extra sort of pace probably made it come on okay. Scriven then is in from the pavilion end, bowls down the leg side and starts with a wide. I'm afraid 11 off for Scriven. So it is very different out there in the middle compared to in the nets and or even for the twos. Runs away from us. Bowls outside off stump, hit in the air, but wide of mid-off, wide of Rishi Patel, and that is going to run away for 4. So Donald didn't quite time it, but with all the fielders on the offside up inside the circle, with the exception of deep backward point, as long as he got past or wide of Rishi Patel, he'll pick up 4, and he has, and he's moved on to 15, and it's 21 without loss after just, well, effectively 7 balls. 3 runs per ball. Not a bad start for the Falcons. In goes Scriven, bowls and appeal for leg before. In fact, Donald had got across and outside. Didn't get it. They wanted to sweep away into field from short fine leg. The leg by his take.
This is a worrying start.
Outside off stump.
Leicestershire.
The left-handed Lewis Rees will be on strike. Scriven over the wicket. Bowls to Rees, who's down the pitch, hitting it straight back over Scriven's head on 1 bounce for 4. Lovely shot. Again, used his feet to make it into a slot ball. Thumped it back over Scriven's head, and the runs continue to flow for the Falcons. This is an intimidatingly brisk start by them. 26 without loss after 9 balls, that is, not overs. Scriven is in and bowls very, very wide, and that will be so signalled. That was a legitimate county championship wide, it was white line, let alone the blue. Scriven off his length and direction. Reese 9 off 3, Donald 15 off 6, 27 without loss after 9 legitimate deliveries. Scriven is in, down the wicket goes Reese. Has appealed for leg before, but very difficult to give considering how far down the wicket he was, trying to hit it over the manual lane to Scriven. May have just hit him outside the line of leg stump. Scriven appealed on principle as much as anything, I think.
So far forward, so difficult to give that out.
Very. In goes Scriven, bowls. Reese waits for that one, tries to fiddle it down the leg side, flicks the pad, trickles behind 2 Cox, and it's a dot ball. So 2 consecutive dot balls. There was a little bit of in-swing to the left-hander, which is what Scriven would be hoping to achieve. A bit boisterous down below us, aren't they, after the footy?
Release of nerves and anxiety.
27 without loss. As in goes Scriven, bowls. Reese tries to club it away rather agriculturally. It doesn't get anything on it, so Scriven in fact comes out of the over in the end reasonably well. Conceded only 11 from it, and the last 3 balls were dot balls. But even so, plenty of food for thought for Leicestershire at this early stage.
Yeah, that was a good recovery from Scriven, but the damage was perhaps done early on. Who's going to bowl the second over? Ben Mike is going to do so. This, you feel, is a pivotal over. Leicestershire need a wicket, I think, more than anything.
Bowled well yesterday. He was probably the pick of the seamers yesterday, wasn't he?
He was. What figures did he get in the end? 2 for 36.
Well, maybe not. Was that off 3?
No, sorry, 2 for 16.
No, I was going to say, I thought it was less, yeah.
That was the last time teams made the pick of the six. So Donald Dean on in the air and be safe, but it may play. It's not going to go the distance. And the boundary run with you six that ball in very well in doing so. That will be added to 3. Sorry, right there. Sorry, Donald 18 off deliveries, Reece 9 off 6. These dangerous, slightly nervy times for Leicestershire as they attempt to defend 185. They've got 30 of them already. Have the Falcons 155 to win, 17.5 overs. They're going at just under 14 and over. Mike it is on his way in now. He bowls, drags this in. It's pulled around the corner. That's going to threaten the boundary rope, and in fact it wins the race with the fielder out there. The ball just seemed to stick in the pitch, but nicely for the left-handed Reese, who just turned his wrists on it and whipped it away for 4. Leicestershire don't have the answers at the moment, and Derbyshire are finding this very easy indeed. They've raced to 34 for no loss, and Mike's conceded 7 runs already off of his opening first 2 deliveries as the shadows lengthen across the Uptonsteel county ground. Mike it is, charging in towards us from the Bennett end. He bowls, buttes him outside off stump, and the finger is raised. That's a beauty from Ben Mike, just moving away from Reese. And he got a catch from Ben Cox. That's a big one. Leicestershire got themselves back in the game. They've dismissed the Reese, who looked in decent form for 13. 34 for 1 is the score.
Yeah, proper wicket.
It was a proper wicket.
Yeah, good ball that just left him slightly, and a faint edge. Ben Cox diving across to his left took a nice 2-handed catch. But you're right, they did need it because they'd lost a little bit of control in those first couple of overs. I was just looking at the wickets that fell in the power play for Leicestershire. You know, 2 of them, one was a run out, Sterling, and the other 2 were just the sort of balls banged in, slower balls, so to speak, and that's key to probably mislead some of their pitch.
David Lloyd scored fans right, and this Mike runs in right arm over the bowls, and that's edged and through the gap. I think he's going to get 4 for that. Streeted with ball, and he got down off sphere 4 runs, so that means score 38 for 1, 147 to win with 2 balls left in the 3rd over. Mike turns, the electric guitar bellows around As Mike starts with a slightly angular runner. He really does kick up his heels as he's in. He bowls, driven, that's a much better shot. And that's 4 runs. That was full, outside off stump. Perfect for the drive, and it's crunched away for 4. So despite the wicket, this becoming an expensive over deep it all in the replay. The shape on from beautifully picked up, 4 more added to the total.
Yeah, if it was a proper wicket early in the over, that was a proper 4 as well. There was nothing sort of slogging about it. It was a gorgeous drive through the offside.
Well, Mike, it is. Final ball of the over. This is a grim start for Leicestershire as Mike is in. He bowls and gets a straight delivery, which is played by Lloyd, just defended back to him, and there is no run. So 3 overs gone, and Derbyshire are going at 14 runs and over right now in pursuit of 185. They are 42 for 1. They need 100 wins.
I suspect Leicester are going to need to keep picking up wickets. Falcons know they're not quite in the last chance saloon if they were to lose that, because they have played 1 game fewer than Leicestershire, but they would probably then need to win their last 5 to be really sure of getting a quarter-final. Hull, so they're staying with pace, Leicestershire, in this power play. I just wonder whether it might be worth an over of spin. It is dangerous in a power play, but Goldsworthy can be effective. However, it's Hull. The pavilion end is in to Donald. Will be by and had just gone but Hayslad bottom of and there with Leicester's in to see, looking as though it was going to a field, and then Don looked like it was going to be clean over backwards square. In fact, Ben Mike, he himself, I think, was slightly misled because he got underneath it and then had to take a couple of quick steps and actually caught it around about knee high. But a really good catch by Mike. Really important wicket. Donald was flying and Leicestershire have got him relatively cheaply for 18.
Yeah, it's a really difficult catch, and you can panic in those sort of situations. Out in the deep, the ball's swirling around in the air. It's very difficult to judge it, but he watched it brilliantly and ended up having to come a little bit forward to grab it. That's a key wicket, and what Leicestershire will hope is that even though Derbyshire romped along, they've got 2 quick wickets and they can start to put pressure back on Derbyshire, although Wayne Madsen has just come to the crease. I would like to see, I don't think I have ever seen it, Wayne Madsen out cheaply.
I think there have been 1 or 2 last hole. It goes holes to the South African who drives. It's in the air. It goes through backward to Banisham. Throws. 40 years old now. Wayne joined Derbyshire in 2009, believe it or not. So into his 15th season with our near neighbours. Hull is in, bowls to Lloyd outside off stump. That bounces, it's very full, and Lloyd, I think, brought his bat back inside the line, and it bounces up and it's not taken cleanly by Cox. It was a quickish delivery from Josh Hull. Makes a dot ball. Leicestershire supporters in good voice over there in the Uptonsteel stand. No drummers tonight, missed them.
They were good, weren't they, the drummers?
Those guys, hopefully they'll be back in due course. Hull is in, bowls to Lloyd outside off stump. Again, he's a little bit too quick for him. Lloyd trying to work it away through the offside. Missed it. Beat him on the outside edge.
It's like a different game all of a sudden, isn't it? The 2 openers came in and spat it all over the place, and now suddenly Leicestershire's bowlers are getting back on top.
Very good so far from Hull. He's conceded just 1 run from his first 4 balls, and of course picked up that important wicket, and Iron Donald. Hull is in to Lloyd. That was probably the slightly slower ball bounce. So it's pulled around the corner. Mike almost loses his feet as he nearly overruns it, but adjusts. On the field. He's getting good vibes from the supporters over there. Affects Mike's picking up the chance tonight very effectively. In goes Hull and bowls to Madsen, who waits for it, steers it towards backward point, diving across to his left. is Sam Wood, who makes a half stop. Wondering what that number was. Getting used to it by now. This is just his second appearance. Very, very decent over from Josh Holt, who conceded 16 from his first and conceded just 3 from his second and picked up a wicket in it. 45 for 2, the Falcons, after 4.
And suddenly the pendulum has swung back towards Leicestershire. 140 to win from 16 overs. You'd still say, because of the start that Derbyshire have had, going along at 11 and over, they are probably still on top. But those 2 wickets falling, that good over from Josh Holt, which has put the pressure back on the Derbyshire players. Tom Scriven will bowl his second over. They've both changed ends, and his first there. Easiest in hindsight, just one of him from it. It would take about 2 catches, 2 back to single, turn on to 369 to win. Scriven bowls, hit high up in the air, and that's going to be a boundary, and it's going to be a 6, I think. Ooh. Yes, comfortably a 6. It's a huge 6, in fact, and that's heading out towards the Milligan Road. A steward makes a quick dash for it, and it has stayed within the boundaries. I think it crashed into one of the trees there that line the Milligan Road, and that was a big hit.
Beautiful pick-up on it.
Coming from, it was Madsen, was it, who struck that? Was it Lloyd who smacked that?
It was Mr. Lloyd.
Lloyd who smacked that. He's on to 15. And Scriven conceded 17 off 1.2 overs. Expensive first over. He bowls in with an angular run-up, right arm over the wicket, bowling to the right-handed Lloyd. And it comes, he's bowled him, what a beauty! Bit of outswing, and Scriven celebrates with a big pump of the fist. Dispatches his ball. This time it is his over, but not off stump back. And it's stand there at the angle. 52 and a cracker from Scriven.
It stayed a bit low as well. Hit the off stump. And well, Leicestershire in turn have picked up 3 wickets in the power play, and maybe, who knows, they could get Patel, Samit Patel, who with Madsen is a perennial thorn in their side. I really feel confident of enforcing the win, but I think they will do now anyway, because that's 3 of Derbyshire's big hitters gone pretty cheaply. Lloyd for 15.
52 for 3, and again there's that old rule, isn't there? I mean, Leicestershire did it. So, losing 3 wickets in the power play, your chances of dropping reduce dramatically. But here is, I would suggest, the key partnership. The 2 that and he falls back from the first ball of the over. 54. So 133 to win. 15.2 overs to go. Scriven turns. He's running in towards us now from the Bennett end. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. Oh, he's got an outside edge, and it goes away for another nice swing that end. And he can around the top. In the roads. It remains. So the score is still high, but Leicestershire fighting their way back. 129 needed to win.
They are actually still ahead in terms of both comparison and Duckworth-Lewis, Derbyshire. So mustn't get too excited too soon.
Scriven is in. He bowls. Back goes Patel. He bowls. It's a good over from Scriven. It wasn't the best of starts, and there was still 11 off it. But he felt like, and that's been the problem. Every have made it, and you think, well, great over for Leicestershire. Look at how many runs have been scored, and it's been quite significant. Leicestershire had a relatively slow start to the innings and a very quick finish.
Yeah, these 2 are going to have to kind of do what Goldsworthy and Cox did for Leicestershire, put together a sort of canny stand. And, you know, no one's more capable of doing that than Wayne Madsen and Samit Patel. A huge amount of experience between them. They won't be fazed by the situation. So Jimmy Neesham, who copped a bit of punishment against Nottinghamshire. See if he can do better with the ball here at Grace Road. He's just walked back to the little parts. It's a right mess now. Goes the music from the end of 6 shots up on his toe step, turning the round towards 100 and feet from not because there's a remote chance of rain. It is a gorgeous evening now here. Not that warm, but it is beautiful sunshine. But just as an idea to be sure where they are. In goes Neesham, bowls to Patel, who wristily pulls it around the corner. Will pick up a single as running around from deep backward square. The fielder gets comfortably the ball in time. Buoyed by England's penny shootout win over Switzerland in the European Championship quarterfinals. Neesham is in 2. Madsen bowls a very leg side and high bouncer that will be signalled no ball by the umpire on height.
Yeah, the beer sales I think will be pretty good, even though there's probably
They're enjoying themselves at the moment, and if the Foxes can go on to win this, it will hopefully boost attendance for the remaining home games. There will only be 4 games after this, as Neesham is in and bowls slightly short of a length. Madsen on the back foot tries to punch it away through the offside, comes off the bottom edge, and this is kind of what I meant about sort of pace off being more difficult to time. To remain for remember, there was the no ball, however, so Neesham has only bowled 3 balls in the over so far. Solid looking unit. Looks like he could play for the All Blacks, watching them this morning against England. In he goes and bowls onto the body of Madsen, who goes back and turns it around corner. It will be in the end. I can think a lot of us young players would 62 for 3.
Mention the 4 games left, 3 of them next week, of course. On Thursday against Worcestershire, Northampton on Friday, and then Sunday here against Nottinghamshire.
Neesham is in again. Madsen's going back and wristily pulling it this time. There's a little bit more work to do, and it will still be another 2 for the man out there on the deep backward square boundary.
You're away Thursday, Northampton Friday,
Sunday, and then it finish at Birmingham, don't we?
Yes.
Following
That's
Friday,
correct.
something like that.
That is correct, 19th.
So plenty of difficult games to come for the Foxes, emphasising the importance of getting across the line in this one if they can. In goes Neesham and bowls. Back foot defensive push from Madsen out into the offside. Goes more or less straight to Lewis Goldsworthy. That is the end of the over and the end of the from end of 45 feet. Derbyshire 64 for 3.
And they're ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis par 2, which is a good measurement of where things are. Leicestershire will be a little bit worried, particularly by the way that the 2 openers started. However, they have come back into it by the end of the power play.
This feels like a huge partnership,
yes,
really. If
absolutely.
they can break these. Patel, he was dropped, wasn't he, at Edgbaston against the Leicestershire in the first match that they went on to lose. Was it behind the stumps?
It was behind this. He was dropped 2 balls in a row. One was pretty straightforward behind the wicket catch for Cox. The next one was Ahmed, much more difficult. Mike, 15 from his first over, but all wickets is defended by Patel. And so for 3, this 120. Sun still. It's a pleasant evening in Ayleston. Lengthening shadows, and it's Mike who's in the shadows at the moment. Comes out of them as he bowls, and it's whipped away off his ankles by Patel, who moves on to 6 from 6 deliveries, working only in singles at the moment, as is Madsen, who's 8 for 9. Many boundaries late. Let's just sit in decent fields. And of course, game in the return fixture, the first fixture these 2 played was at Edgbaston, part of a double header. And these 2 put on over 100 together as Mike is in. He bowls and Madsen goes for that and connects brilliantly. Didn't even move after he played that. It was in the slot. He could slide down and whack. That's you're in trouble. 69 for 3. 116 to win off 13 deliveries. He's got a very athletic build, has Madsen. Stands with an open stance, his front leg well wide of his back leg, and in comes Mike. Bowls brilliantly, appeal for leg before wicket. I think that was a little bit ambitious, possibly going down leg and too high.
Definitely.
Worth an appeal. And they scamper through for a single leg by. So you've got 69, 70 score, 15 to 1. In the game, they have balance in the South Group. So
Was at Radlett. The outgrounds are difficult when it rains, aren't
yeah,
they?
they don't have the drainage that a ground like the Uptonsteel County ground will have. In comes Mike, he bowls, back goes Patel and glances this down the ground for 4. Mike just straying a little bit too straight, and Patel able to manoeuvre the ball with a tiny little flick off his pads and off his hips down to the boundary rope, fine behind square on the leg side. So that's 4 runs added to the total, 74 for 3. And again, this is an expensive over, 10 off it already. and 74 for 3 the score. 111 to win. Can Mike finish in style? There's a sense of foreboding and nervousness and anxiety about these two at the crease. The two old campaigners. Mike in, Patel pulls and plays that out, cloths it slightly down towards deep middle wicket. There is a single added to the total, 75 for 3 the score. So that's the end of the 7th. Until they're still going a rocking, and that's not gets to definitely strangle them in the middle overs. I wonder when we will see Lewis Goldsworthy and some bowlers who are going to take the pace off the ball. Not this over though, it's going to be Sam Wood to bowl.
For the first time in the first team at Grace Road, he's got his own fan club, it sounded like there. That was definitely a special cheer for the 19-year-old from well, that goes and it was to make a bit short all the corner and now they're not just what hey, no experience in every sport bowling against two hugely experienced top-class cricketers. Goes in and bowls short to Madsen, who pulls, top edges it a bit, it loops out towards backward square. Scriven again is runs into field. One is taken. Madsen on to 13, Patel 12. Partnership just beginning to build. Use DLS of where they need to be. In goes Wood, top edge down to third man. Good work down there by Sterling. First time he's been in the game in the field. Moved across to his left. Made the stop on the bounce. Had it flown that little bit further, might have gone for that. Probably bounced back or forth short and went along the rope. Don't know what they're chanting about Sterling. In goes Wood and bowls short and hits Madsen. He was on him a little bit more quickly than he thought, I suspect. He went for the pull. I think it came off his shoulder in the end. Bounced out towards backward point and the leg by is taken. He seems perfectly on her. Indicated it was his shoulder. Gives a little bit of a sort of a top of the right arm. He's going to have a bruise there in the morning. I would imagine he's used to that. Wood is in to Patel outside off stump, back foot chop out into the offside out towards Neesham, who's in the sunshine in front of the manual scoreboard. So forward, he's only conceded 4 runs from 5 balls. That said, there was the leg by as well, so they don't count against the bowler. So 5 from the first 5 balls of the over as Wood is in and bowls slower ball, hit in the air but wide of extra cover out to Neesham again. But that was a pretty good over from Sam Wood, and he can be proud of his first over in first team cricket at Grace Road. Just the 5 runs off the bat and the leg by. 81 for 3 after extra at this stage, or 15 for 3.
Yeah, well ahead of the pace, and that does give them comfort and a bit of cushion. And with these two batsmen at the crease, it's these two again. Leicestershire fans must sort of hang their head.
Yeah, I've had a few comments already.
In frustration at Samit Patel and Wayne Madsen. Two guys, what, I mean, how much is Samit Patel? It must be in his late 30s, Wayne Madsen's in his 40s. That may hold the key. Jimmy Neesham will be second up, the first from the pavilion. This time it's going to be from Ben. It's the far side as we see it. Leicestershire all green, all in dark blue. Light blue. He's going to face it in. Bars tries. Wide delivery, it's going to go for 4. 2 for 2. I apologise for that delivery. Gimmick and mid up. That was too easy. Country for 4 from Man. And the score moves on to 85 for 3. Madsen on to 15. And this is a little bit worrying for them. 100 to win now. 85 for 3.
Summit is will be 40 in November, so almost 80 years between them.
Neesham is in. Oh, it's an uppercut. I wonder whether there might have been a couple of Nelson's ball. They will cruise home. Grade 8.6 going 10.2 over foul. This will give them hope of getting through to the quarterfinals. It is still slim. They've won just 3 games of the first 9. Neesham turns, tall man, broad-shouldered. Holds the ball in front of him and moves in now. Right arm over the wicket, slower ball, hit into the ground by Madsen, and Samit Patel has to charge back. He was halfway down the pitch. Back by Putnam. No.
The first sort of or so of the bubble was small.
Josh Holt to move inside the circle there.
Alfonso Thomas.
Yep. He popped out from the benches down there, had a word with Josh Holt, told him to come in from third man to short third man. In comes Neesham, and it's hit right back over his head for 4.
Thanks,
So it's a third man. Anxiety and nervousness. 89 for Madsen onto 22, and it's under 100 needed now. Off 11.2 overs. A wicket is needed here.
Goldsworthy, I think, is needed. A little bit of spin. Make them put the pace on the ball. Don't give them pace on the ball.
In comes Neesham, long run up, and he's past the umpire now. He bowls, slower delivery, cut straight to cover. It's at the back of the hand,
yeah.
Richard's signalling. And straight to cover with no run. So a bit of over from this over at the very least. Stuck with Lewis at 78 after this ball. As he turns. Looks at the ball, does Neesham. A slightly angled run-up makes his way in towards us now. He bowls, and back goes Madsen, and pulls this round the corner for 4. Need room for sitting, move to and just pull round the lovely Derbyshire from the 2 to win off 11 overs, 93 for 3. They're over halfway, are the Falcons, and they've got well over half of their time and the overs and balls required. This would be a big blow to them, Leicestershire, in their T20 campaign. They would have thought that having got 184 they had enough runs to win this game, but right now they are staring defeat in the face.
But only halfway, so another couple of wickets will make that look very different. Can Wood pick up one on home debut? A little bit short outside off stump, but Patel doesn't time it. We got for Bunger. So Wood symbols in to his spell. Has only conceded singles so far, famous last words, but he has put a little bit of a squeeze on these two. In he goes, bowls to Patel, short, and Patel tries to hook, doesn't get anything on it. It was a good bouncer, and having missed it, bounces through to Cox, goes through to Cox, and just one for the over. Is this from umpire Lloyd? So, well, bowled. Talked about 6-3, 6-4 maybe.
Yes, yeah. Wood.
Fair of hair. Turns, runs away from us, bowls slightly short. Again, Patel waits on the back foot, chops it out into the offside, but can only pick out Neesham, who throws on the full to Cox from in front of the manual scoreboard. Again, good from Wood. Singles only, if not dot balls. 94 for 3. Patel wants a new bat. He waves at the pavilion.
Does get a bit of extra bounce, Wood, doesn't he? Where he bowls in his height.
In he goes. Bowls to Madsen, who backs away, makes room, tries to carve it away through the offside, misses it. He indicates with his right hand that he didn't think it got up as much as he thought it was going to. Perhaps it didn't, but that's the nature of the pitch.
Good carry through to the wicket keeper from Wood too. He's got a lot of pace. He's got a high release, so I mean he must be bowling from 6-4 with the way he releases it. He must be releasing it from about 8 foot.
He tells Ben Mike to go back from mid on to long on, and he brings Sterling up from third man to short. Full. Third man goes in and bowls straight. Slower ball, I suspect, chipped by Madsen out to mid. Over strongly. Neesham couldn't, can the youngster. Wood is in, bowls to Madsen. He can, because all Madsen, oh beg your pardon, all Patel can do is work it back past Wood, out towards mid-on, and a single is taken. Excellent stuff from Sam Wood, and a warm round of applause from the Leicestershire faithful. 10 overs have been bowled in the Derbyshire reply. They are 96 for 3. But have suddenly got a little bit of control back. Can Lewis Goldsworthy, but they do need a wicket. Can Goldsworthy do it for them?
Halfway mark then, 89 to win. 10 overs to go, so 8.9 an over. They're going at 9.6. It was an excellent over from Wood.
It was just 3 from it.
And now Lewis Goldsworthy comes in. It's a perfect time for him to come in. Options in Tracy's out. Rahati. Goldsworthy comes in. He's run Goldsworthy bowling from the Bennett end. Up to the wicket he bowls, tosses this up. That was really slow, and it's driven through cover. They will look for 2 here. The one-arm throw comes in. This could be tight. No, it's absolutely comfortably. bowled to the thrown to the non-striker's end. Goldsworthy 3 wickets last night.
He's actually got 77 wickets in T20s, Paul Sterling, in 136 innings.
Might be worth a go. Goldsworthy tosses this up, swept by Madsen, and that's going to be 4 runs. He's found the gap brilliantly there. There's a man up, Sterling, at short, fine leg, and there's a man at deep backward square, and he made room for himself, came across, got the front foot forward, and swept for 4. Not much you can do about that. That's just good batting from Wayne Madsen, who moves on to 33 from 24 deliveries, 82 to win now of 9.3 overs. Goldsworthy is in, swept again, and this might be a similar result. It is.
Yep, exactly the same shot, exactly the same place. First one was just to reach him on the low full toss, but that one did pitch, but he's found an empty spot on the boundary. And he's always been a good sweeper, Madsen. 37. Nothing's sure, is it?
No.
When Madsen appears.
37 of 25 deliveries. There's been many a century and a double century in the county championship. The ball has got stuck. There's covers down to the left-hand side. The ball's fucking, and they finally found it. Sort of crumb on the floor. It looks sort of tarpaulin down for Mallet. The club photographer was instrumental in finding the ball there. Richard, he's wandering back with his cam under batsman. What's just going to do this with his time at Derbyshire Square? It's where they bowled the same left, but that's off something which the narrowed options for Madsen. So it's England 38 for 3 and shoots 185. Here comes Goldsworthy, bowls to Patel. Forward he comes and plays it down the ground. These two look very comfortable with Goldsworthy. Easy to criticise from up here, but you wonder whether Goldsworthy's come on a little bit too late with these two batsmen in. 109 for 3, that's the end of the over, 13 off it. And the run rate just under 10. It's the first time it's gone under 10 for a while. Oh, I know it did go under 10 a few overs ago, didn't it? But 9.9, so 76 top 9 overs.
At 8.4, so these two, well, they've already added more than 50 for the 4th wicket. 57 the partnership is worth, as Wood is in to Patel, who drives, and Madsen has to leap out of the way, and losing in the two Benny Mike was the fielder. In goes Wood again to Patel, who tries to pull the short ball, pulls over the top of it. I think Wood is bowling really nicely here, because I think he's just taking a little bit of his natural pace off it. And Patel swung and missed. Wood has been actually 2008 at the moment. It was the leg by, but off the bat, just 8 runs from 14 balls is a brilliant effort. In he goes. Bowls again to Patel, short, pulled this time, sounds like a rifle, and a really, almost a brilliant stop down there, falling to his left by Louis Kimber, sprinted down the rope and stuck out his left hand, couldn't get there. In the end, and Patel picks up for the first boundary that was conceded.
Not a bad ball. I think Patel just read that and got onto it very, very quickly indeed. He's getting a bit of a chat from Patel. Wonder what they're saying to him. They're going to bring in.
I think they need a deep mid-wicket if he's going to keep banging it in short.
Yeah.
Somebody out there.
They were wary maybe of the uppercut, but they've brought him in.
Now conceded by Wood. He's learning all the time. 117 for 3. In he goes. Bowls again to Patel, short, and it's straight, and it's pulled out to deep backward square. Good stop, got everything behind it. Somehow Tom Scriven, because that was travelling. It bounced off him as he slid round in front of backward square. Bounced off his chest, I think, in the end, as much as anything, but managed to pick himself up and get his throw away and keep Patel to 1. Patel on to 27 off 22. These two taking Derbyshire a long way towards victory, as Wood is in to Madsen, who looks to square drive. Sounds a bit tinny off the bat, and Neesham comes in off the ropes in front of the still in sunlight manual scoreboard, but another productive over as far as the Falcons are concerned. 10 from it in the end, And they now need just 66 from the final 8 overs, and Leicestershire need wickets.
This has been a bit of a breeze, sadly, for Derbyshire so far. They're still going at 10 and over. They've barely dropped below that. They've had so many overs that have been over 10. You look at how hard work Leicestershire, how much hard work the opening overs look for Leicestershire, and compared to that, it has been a canter for the Falcons. Madsen 39, Patel 27. Again, these two who have now put on 67. Tom Scriven will bowl his 3rd over. He returns at the Bennett end. He's up to the wicket. He bowls full, and it's driven to Goldsworthy at backward point, where a single is taken. So 120 for 3 is the score. 65 to win off 67 balls. So already under a run of ball, Richard.
No, rate required is 8.3. So
oh, you're right. Sorry. Yes, there's in now. Bowls, and Patel clips it into the leg side. There's no run.
46 balls.
46 balls. What did I say?
60.
Said the wrong. Right. Second letter.
Maths on air.
In comes Scriven again. He bowls. Oh, and that's got to hit the pad. Ben Cox is in the way. He's bowling, coming in towards us. So it either hit the pad or there was an inside edge. It's pad. There's a leg by is called as they run through for a single. So 1, 2, 1, 4, 3. To be quiet. Remember, the Leicestershire fans were very loud a moment ago. They've now gone dead quiet. 64 to win. Scriven it is, running in towards us. He bowls, and again that tucks Madsen up. Straight delivery. He was trying to make room for himself, but he followed the veteran, did Scriven, and that meant the ball didn't go anywhere. 1, 2, 1 for 3, still the score. Men out at the moment. You've got a deep mid-wicket, long on, but not a long off. Deep mid-wicket, Scriven is in, he bowls, and that's a late cut. That's a sublime shot. That's a sublime shot from Madsen. Late cut down towards the 3rd man area for 4 runs. Not a bad ball from Scriven. He's just found the time to force it behind square on the offside for 4 runs. That is a glorious shot. 44 he moves on to, 125 for 3. Something drastically needs to change, and quickly, if Leicestershire are going to avoid defeat here. Scriven is in, it's clipped into the leg side, and a single will be taken. Required rate 8.4, and that is the end of the 13th over from Scriven, and there were 7 off it. So bar that 4, it wasn't too bad from Scriven, but they're just getting enough every single over, are these two. That moves the score to 126 for 3. 59 to win with 42 balls to go. This is fully in Derbyshire's hands, and it's these two again, Patel and Madsen, whose partnership won the game for them at Edgbaston in the return fixture. It looks like it's going to do the same again.
Where's the wicket coming from as far as the Foxes are concerned? Well, Rishi Patel has thrown the ball to Josh Holt. 2 overs, 1 for 19 for the youngster. The left armour is in, bowled slightly short of a length to Madsen, up on his toes, chipping it out towards square leg. They think about a second because Scriven has a long way to come in from the boundary. Hull is also in pursuit. Scriven gets there first and gets there sufficiently quickly to prevent Patel and Madsen taking second. Had there been 2 Madsens out there, not that Samad is that slow between the wickets, but I think 2 Madsens might have taken 2. Samad takes guard, checks guard anyway. Turns Josh Holt. That long striding run is in, and bowls, hit back over his head, stopped on the bounce by Ben Mike, running to his left at mid-on. Good job he did. Had it got past him, that would have been 4. So Mike saves 4 on the edge of the circle. dot ball, rare thing in this innings. 127 for 3, 58 needed. Benny Mike gets another approving chorus from the faithful over there in the popular seats alongside the meters. Hull is in, bowls short, pulled by Patel, stopped on the bounce, running to his left on the backward square boundary by Tom Scriven, and it is just a single for Samit Patel, but a nice shot from Patel. He moves on to 28. Madsen on 46 now, looks around. Is it going to be yet another landmark innings, yet another 50 for Wayne Madsen against Leicestershire? Been plenty of hundreds in there as well. Hull is in, bowls. Madsen is clipping down to fine leg, and I think that is going to be the 50. No, really. Oh, it has. The ball, Sam Wood got there, and the ball disappeared sort of underneath him as he rolled along the ropes, but it's gone to the fine leg boundary for 4. That is 50. And Madsen, oh, was it? Did he signal leg byes? I thought he just signalled 4, but he maybe did signal leg byes.
Yes, he did.
The announcer equally thought he'd gone to his 50, but no, it must have been just thigh pad. Sounded a bit woody, but 4 leg byes, Madsen won't mind. Hull is in to him. He's looking to pull, and he pirouettes around as he bottom edges it back down the pitch to Hull. Remember, he represented South Africa hockey in both the Commonwealth Games and a World Cup before turning full-time to cricket. And he still coaches a bit of hockey.
Wow, does he?
In the Derbyshire area. I think in the Belper area he coaches a team over there. Hull is in, bowls to him. He steps away, carves it out into the offside, straight to Jimmy Neeson, who takes the catch. Well, Madsen can't quite believe it. For once, he hasn't got to 50 against Leicestershire. He gestures with his right hand as though he'd been trying to steer it a little bit squarer. Well, boy, did Leicestershire need that one. Josh Hull has picked up his second wicket. 132 for 4 is the score, and who knows? Perhaps they're going to have to make 1 into 2 or even 3. And it can make a big difference, but Patel is still there, and he's unlikely to give it away. 132 for 4 off 14.
You get the sense that's just a little bit too late from the Foxes' perspective. But Madsen again has played gloriously. Some fabulous shots in there, and he tried to open that up, didn't he? Get it. I think he was trying to get it a bit straighter than that, but ended up a little bit too square. So 14 overs gone, 6 remain. 53 is needed for Derbyshire to win this game in pursuit of 185.
Ross Whiteley, the replacement, he hits a big ball, but it's going to be Patel on strike.
And it will be Ben Mike, who will run in from the Bennett end in towards us. Kicks up his heels, he's up to the wicket, he bowls. Oh, and it keeps low and nearly crashes into the stumps, but it goes underneath Samit Patel's bat. So still 53 to win. Patel 28. It's been a measured innings, 28 off 26 for Patel so far. 53 needed from 35. In comes Ben Mike, all in green. He's up to the wicket, he bowls. It's hit in the air just over the head of Ben Mike, and there's some fantastic fielding down at mid-off. It was chipped up in the air, and is that Patel, the captain, who dives to save it. A single is still scored, so 1-3-2 for 4. We've got a left-hander in Whiteley, so they will change the field. It's the deep mid-wicket, deep backward square leg, fine leg. Josh Hull down in front of us. We've got Sterling at third man, and there's a deep cover too, long off and long on up to Whiteley. Perhaps trying to tempt him into the big shot. The fans trying to get behind their team. They're loud in voice here. 1-3-3 for 4. Whiteley takes his guard, looks around to see where the field is, and in comes Mike. Right arm over the wicket to the left-handed Whiteley. Oh, he's hit on the pad, first ball, he's gone! That was plumb beauty from Mike, and Leicestershire might well be back in the game. 1-3-3 for 5 is the score, and it was a full delivery that crashed into the pads of Whiteley. It was full and plumb, and Leicestershire break through. Whiteley has to go for a golden duck, and who knows, Richard, 52 to win from 34.
Just those 5 wickets now, so as is often the case, one does become 2. Patel's still there, but a bit more pressure on him now as a consequence of those 2 wickets. And suddenly, as Adam said, the game has a different feel. Noise levels ramp up in the crowd, and the pressure increases on the batsmen in the middle. Brooke Guest, next man in.
33 deliveries it is, of course. So
did you do another sum?
No, I did 34.
Oh,
there's only one off. That's not too bad. So Brooke Guest is the new man, and Ben Mike is on a hat-trick. 2 for 26, his figures. In he comes now to the right-handed Guest. He's up to the wicket. He bowls, and he's driven out towards deep cover. It was a comfortable shot for Guest. They're going to come back for 2. No, it's just a single. Patel sends him back.
He didn't take the first wicket. That was Hull.
Sorry. 2 for what did I say?
He was on a hat-trick.
Oh, he did, you're right. Of course he did, yes.
He did take another one, but that was quite early on.
2 for 27.
Lewis Rees.
Patel, 29. In comes Mike, and that's a beauty, and Patel didn't play any shot to that. It's very quiet appeal from Mike for caught behind. You got a bit of seam movement off the seam there, and it went through towards Cox. So 1-3-5 is the score. How many runs off this over so far? Just the 2, with 1 ball to go and a wicket. Things may well change.
Yeah, they have changed, haven't they?
Well, the required run rate is for the first time in this innings overtaken the actual run rate. In comes Mike to Patel, who goes for that, drives it out towards backward point where it's just a single, Goldsworthy Fields, and that's a very good over from Ben Mike. 2 for 28 his figures after 3 overs. Derbyshire 1-3-5 for 5. They're still ahead of that Duckworth Lewis par, which is a good marker. But they haven't got many wickets left, and soon they will be into the tail. So,
bit of a chance being taken now by Patel and Leicestershire. They're going back to Neesham. He waves to his fine leg, says come up to short, fine, and he's got Sterling up short as well. Patel will probably know that he needs to take Neesham down to a certain extent. Well, even we can work out that with 50 needed or 5 overs, the run rate needed is 10 and over. Neesham runs away from us from the pavilion end, bowls a good slower ball. Patel swings and misses. It seemed a bit as well, just held its own, held its line, and all a little bit agricultural and ugly from Samit Patel as he tried to carve that one away over the offside.
It's become a little bit forced, hasn't it, from Derbyshire? They didn't seemingly need to force the issue, but it started to become a bit desperate. Might be a stretch, but it's felt that way.
Neesham looks at the ball, turns, runs in, bowls to Patel short, and it's going to cut away to the point boundary and cut for 4 as well. It wasn't the slower ball, there was width, sat up very nicely, and Patel played it very nicely as well. It's one of his favourite shots, and you heard it come right out of the middle. He runs to the point boundary, no chance down there. I think it's Sam Wood.
Oh, so it sounded lovely off the bat, didn't it? It flew off the middle of the bat from Patel.
Wristily cut away. In goes Neesham, bowls to him. Again, he goes for the big swing, thick inside edge onto the pad. It bounces out towards Silly Point. Neesham runs across the field. Brooke Guest calls his captain through for the single. 140 for 5. Patel onto 35 off 33. 45 needed. Still at 10s then. They got 5 from the first 3 balls of the over. Fine leg goes back from short fine to the boundary. Sterling is still up there on the edge of the circle at third man as Neesham is in to Guest, who just waits for it, pulls it around the corner. Tom Scriven is down there, fields and throws on the bounce to Cox. It's just a single to Guest.
So 44 of 26.
Guest this season's been averaging 40, but his strike rate isn't spectacular. It's only 112, so he's going to have to do slightly better than that if the Falcons are going to win this one. Could be close though, could be really tight. 141 for 5. Neesham is in to Patel. Good slower ball, but it's lifted straight back down, and 4-6 by Patel. It was just over pitched. It was the slower ball, but Patel picked it. It was gun barrel straight, and it was hit gun barrel straight back over Neesham's head, and it went all the way. Only just, but it did go all the way. And Patel into the 40s now, on to 41, 147 for 6.
It's a great shot. It's a right attempt, I think, from Neesham. Very well played shot in the end.
It's nice to hit straight hitting, and that makes such a difference. Neesham is in, bowls short, pulled out towards mid wicket. It'll be just the single as Louis Kimber comes off the ropes, throws low to Cox. Neesham takes his sweater from the umpire. 148 for 5, 37 needed off 4.
So 37 to win, 4 overs to go, 37 off 24. So the run rate is identical at 9.2 to the required run rate. Tom Scriven, as you probably heard on our effects microphone, will return to the Bennett end. 3 overs for 27, 1 wicket to his name. These are the key moments of the game. They've got to get rid of Patel, fundamentally. And here is Scriven. He's into Patel. He inside edges onto his pad, and they run through for a single. Came off, it's just a leg bye. I thought he'd hit it into his pads, but he didn't. So it's a leg bye. Patel 42 off 36. 34 needed to win. 36 off 24. Cox is going to stand up to the stumps, or he's going to get closer at least. So they're going to try. Cox is going to stand up to the stumps. Goodness me! To try and stop them running through when the ball either goes through the wickets. Put a bit of pressure on Guest, who dabs this down the ground, and we'll get a single. 150 is up for Derbyshire. 35 to win off 22 deliveries. As the sun begins to set, the orange of the sky around us now. Pitch almost in total shadows as Scriven is in. Angular run up. He bowls, it's edged, and it's 4. That's a killer blow for Leicestershire. Hull, I think, was almost wrong-footed. Like a goalkeeper looking to dive for a penalty to the right. He then had to move and change his body and dive to the left, and it raced away for 4. So Derbyshire riding their luck a little bit, but they are still powering towards victory. 31 needed now off 21. Scriven turns and runs straight in now to Patel. Slower ball 4. Cut. He made room for himself, did Patel, and gets 4. And I fear that those 2 shots may well have done it for Derbyshire. 27 now off 20. They will need a miracle from here, and it's a 50 for Samit Patel too, who's played wonderfully. Played sort of second fiddle for a long time to Wade Madsen, but has got there. 38 balls it has taken him to get to that milestone, with 7 4s and a 6. Scriven runs in towards us now. He's past the umpire. He bowls. Big hit down the ground. It's going to land safely. It bounces in front of the fielder at long off, and there's a single to Patel, who, I suppose importantly for a Derbyshire perspective, will keep the strike perhaps at the other end. Interesting to see what Guest does here, whether he'll go for the big heave, whether he'll take the single and take the very busy, very industrious Destructive Patel off. In comes Scriven. He bowls. It's driven, and they will take the single to cover where Rishi Patel fields. So 160 for 5 is the score. 25 needed off 18 deliveries. And this is fully in Derbyshire's hands now. They still have something to hold on to, Leicestershire. But what, 2 boundaries? A 6, you think, Richard, will do it?
Yeah.
Well, it will put them into territory where...
Leicester are going to have to take wickets. I don't think they're going to squeeze this now. Well, Sam Wood is getting the responsibility of bowling the 17th over, which is a reflection really of how well he bowled his first 3 overs, which went for 18. Neesham's 3 overs went for 33. So Wood has out-bowled the international. What can he do? In he goes and bowls 2 guests, who's happy to take 1 as he goes back and turns the delivery out to Ben Mike at mid-on, knowing that that's all they need to do really. 24 off 17 legitimate deliveries. You never know. But Patel, if he's there at the end, Derbyshire will win this game, or will have won this game. In goes Wood, bowls to him, a short ball. It's pulled out to mid-wicket. Louis Kimber is the fielder out there. Again, Wood proving hard to get to the boundary, but a massive pressure on the Falcons to get a boundary necessarily off him. They can wait for a really bad ball.
Sort of not enough to get everybody else out either, is it? I suppose what they would want to do now to Guest is stop him conceding.
Wood is in, bowls. Guest goes for the drive outside off stump, doesn't get anything on it, taken by Cox, and it delights the Leicestershire faithful. A big woo as it goes past the outside edge. Sammy Wood getting a chant already. 0 for 20 from 3.3. He's bowled very well. Deserves a wicket really. Can he get one? Runs in and bowls short, pulled up in the air, should be caught, is caught by Tom Scriven, running in, slid underneath the ball, took it in front of his chest, and Sam Wood has his first Leicestershire wicket, and it could go a long way towards winning the Foxes a hugely important T20 game. Banged it in short, Guest went for the pull, top edged it slightly, Scriven came running in, almost lost his footing as he went for it, but he got underneath it and, as I say, took it in front of his chest. Another twist.
Yeah, really difficult catch that, and he did really, really well to hold on to it. Fabulous stuff. And as you say, another twist in the tail. I mean, obviously the wicket is important, but just as important is the fact that it was a dot ball, because it means that there's only been 2 runs off this over so far. Samit Patel is off strike. They're putting a lot of pressure on him. And Zach Chappell comes in.
Well, he's a useful bat, is Zach. Formerly of this parish, of course. Long since moved on. 4 years at Notts, and now similar time at Derbyshire. Bobs at the knees as in goes Wood, bowls to him. He pulls and pulls it crisply out toward deep mid-wicket, but Louis Kimber's out there, so it'll be just the 1 to Chappell. Sammy Wood. You'll remember his home debut. He's got 1 for 21. He's got just the 1 ball now left to bowl. 22 needed by the Falcons off 2 overs and this delivery. Patel holds the key. He's on strike as Wood goes in, bowls to him, cuts in the air, down. Oh, that's 6. I think that went all the way. It did go all the way out to the backward point boundary. Lloyd's looking for confirmation. Oh, that was 6. No, that was 6. That was 6. He signalled 4, but that was 6. And Patel can't believe it. No, that was 6. The Leicestershire players are saying they didn't know. They didn't. Oh, it's Jimmy Neesham's getting involved as well. But for me, that was 6. I'm afraid. And he's asking to look on the screen. But for me,
it looks 6 to me.
I'm afraid that was a foot over the ropes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 4 has been signalled. Either way, 167 for 6. So 18 is needed off 12. And that's a big blow, actually, that, because it turned what was an excellent over. I mean, it still was an excellent over.
Are they going to say that that's definitely 4? Because it wasn't. Well, one can only hope Derbyshire don't lose this by a run.
Confirmed it's 4. 167 for 6, 18 off 12. The penultimate over will be bowled by Ben Mike, who has 2 for 28.
We could see that from up here. I don't understand that, but anyway.
Leicestershire fans won't mind. Derbyshire fans will be furious if it does come down to it. They will bowl to Chappell, who's right-handed. In comes Mike. He bowls a straight delivery, and Chappell does his job. He gets Patel on strike with a shot sort of across the line that dribbles into the leg side. So it's now 17 off 11. They need to get Patel out, because if he's there, he is in form. He's seeing the ball well enough that he will hit a boundary off the remaining overs. Will that be a controversial moment? Who knows? 11 balls to go. Mike waits, stands at the start of his run-up, and now charges in now. Slightly angular run-up to Patel. Patel goes, heaves this, and he's got 6. And that is probably the moment that wins the game for Derbyshire. Rather strangely, Patel runs to the other end of the field.
He's always done it throughout his career. He will complete. If he hits a 4, he will run to the other end and dot his bat down. He'll run a single. Or has always done it.
Well, it's now 11 off 10. That's the winning shot, I would suggest. There's still stuff to bowl at for Leicestershire, but they're going to have to bowl remarkably well from here on in. And it's the fact they didn't get rid of Samit Patel, who will see them home for a second time in a row here. In comes Mike. Bowls, it's a good Yorker, and it's dug out by Patel. Batsman who wasn't in and on 62 not out would have struggled with that. It's remarkable, by the way, Derbyshire, this will be, if they win, as they should, it'll be 6 games in a row they've beaten Leicestershire in this format, and 9 of the last 10.
Yep, they have, at the moment, a wood over the Foxes.
Got a complete stranglehold over this fixture. Mike. What will his response be? He's bowling to Chappell. A wicket would be very handy here. Bowls a full toss that's clipped away in the leg side, and that's going to run away for 4. Massive cheers from the Derbyshire faithful down below us, because now it's under a run of ball. Ben Cox furiously points to the field, which Ben Mike has not bowled to really there. There's a full toss on leg stump, and Chappell has made it under a run of ball. 6 off 8. Derbyshire will win this game now. That's a real shame. It's a big blow for Leicestershire as well. You know, they had the opportunity to go into second. It's likely they will fall out of the top 4, and their record will be played 10, won 4, lost 4, tied 1, and no result for 1 last night against Nottinghamshire. In comes Mike, bowling to Chappell, and he gets it away. He's played very well, Chappell, actually, with that 4, and now a couple of singles to get Patel on strike. 1 ball left in the penultimate over, so 5 down needed to win. At least that 6 won't be important, Richard.
Good.
Sky's darkening around us. The floodlights slightly taking over now. You can see them lighting up the field. As Mike wants a change in the field. What's he asking for here? Is he asking for someone to come in? Nobody's moved. Patel waits, right arm at, and Mike comes in, right arm over the wicket. He bowls, and it's driven, and that might be 4. It is 4. And there is the celebration. Well, there's still 1 run to win. The scores are tied, though. And Samit Patel has played a glorious innings here, and he has vanquished Leicestershire again.
He has. I think he's a bit angry about the 6, and you know, he'll get over it if and when they win. But it's chuntering away out there. He's right to be a bit angry, to be honest. However, happily, it doesn't look like it's going to matter.
Yeah, well, they would have won it by now, wouldn't they? 1 run off the final 6 deliveries. Derbyshire will win this game.
So Josh Holt is going to try and, well, perform a miracle, really. Everybody comes in for the Leicestershire Foxes. Everybody is saving 1. He's going to be bowling to Zach Chappell. He's going to have to take 4 quick wickets. In he goes and bowls to Chappell, who swings and misses, so that's one of them. And it was a bit wild from Zach. And it went through outside off stump. It was actually there probably to carve away. The gates have been opened on Milligan Road, and people beginning to gather by them. And others heading to the Curzon Road exit. 5 balls to go, 1 to win. Scores at the moment are tied. Hull is in to Chappell, bowls, and it's driven for 4, and Derbyshire have won by 4 wickets with 4 balls remaining. An outstanding batting effort by the Falcons. Foxes probably lost it in the first sort of 10 overs of their batting, Adam, really.
Yeah,
they never came to terms with the pitch.
Yeah, and clearly, I think the conditions changed slightly, but clearly, you know, Leicestershire, who really struggled in their power play, lost quick wickets, weren't able to come back, and really struggled at the start of that campaign. It was noticeable Samit Patel waved at the Leicestershire fans over to our right-hand side. I think they were giving him grief all game, and he's shown them up a little bit with a fabulous knock, which has encompassed, how many runs did he get in the end, Samit Patel?
67.
67, fabulous knock from him. He's won it for the 2nd time in a row. Twice he's got into the 60s against Leicestershire in this season, twice he's won. That's a big blow to their chances of reaching the top 4. Derbyshire win by 4 wickets, Connor.
And I almost feel, guys, like a bit of a broken record here, but I mean, as you say there, Adam, for the what feels like, I mean, easily 2nd, 3rd time, Samit Patel has condemned Leicestershire to defeat.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably about the 10th time he's condemned them to defeat over the years. For Nottinghamshire, I remember him winning a quarter-final for them a few years ago, and now twice he has done that to them. Really difficult evening for Leicestershire. As Richard says, they sort of struggled with their batting early doors, and then Derbyshire just kept flying out of the tracks, and Leicestershire were behind the 8 ball from the very off, and that would have been what was hugely frustrating for them in the end, to come up short in that way, considering the fact that they would have thought they got a good score because they finished so strongly in their batting innings.
And I just wonder, Richard, what looked different today from their matches just before the break in the T20 Blast, where the Foxes were on fire and people were talking about this side as an absolute shoe-in for the quarterfinals?
I'm not sure they were definitely saying a shoe-in. You never quite know with Leicestershire. I mean, in the game before, they pulled off an extraordinary tie at Northampton. But Northampton, remember, did score over 200 in that game. And so to a certain extent, it's the continuation of something we knew about Leicestershire, that the bowling is not quite strong enough. Should they, when they brought in these 2 overseas on loan, should one of them have been a bowler? It does tend to be batters who win these games, but they have a lot of batting, the Foxes. So, you know, you could argue that they're a bowler short. Maybe Travaskis would have made a difference. Goldsworthy's left arm spin, left arm spin is very important in T20 normally. It probably isn't quite as canny as Travaskis, so arguably they could have looked to have done that. And I think Travaskis might be back soon, so fingers crossed he is anyway, and give them another option. But yeah, the bowling isn't quite there at the moment, unfortunately.
And Samit Patel walks off the pitch and receives the acclaim from a few Derbyshire fans who have made the journey down the M1. There's a gentleman there with glasses who looks jubilant after watching that Derbyshire victory, a victory which keeps their hopes of qualification alive. Where does this leave Leicestershire then, guys?
Well, let's have a look at the table, shall we? That will give us a better clue. It's difficult to tell because Leicestershire are playing their 10th game ahead of most of the other teams in the pool, but they will be on 10. They will still be in 4th as a result of this. Their run rate won't be knocked hugely because they got to the final over